Yeah, it's
Not permanent. Yeah, I had to keep it on.
I will call to order the November 23rd, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting. And before we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Springfield Elementary School students, I ask you to please join me in a moment of silence as we remember and honor the life of Jalen Gilliard, a junior at Lucy Beckham High School, and Ms. Roberta May Frazier, a longtime principal at Hog Gap. In our moment of silence, consider the families and let's extend our deepest sympathy now to friends and family of Jalen and Ms. Frazier and other loved ones that held them in high esteem at Beckham High School and Hog Gap and the other many places Ms. Frazier served. Thank you very much. Go ahead. If everyone would please stand.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Megan Williams. I'm the very proud principal of Springfield Elementary School, and it is my honor to introduce two of our fifth grade leaders, Anna Ray Dawson and Kamar Rial.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda and the consent agenda?
I move.
So moved by Ms. Watley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bailey. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Is there a motion to approve the minutes for January 26, 2026 board meeting, February 9th special called board meeting, and February 9th committee of the whole meeting? Moved by Ms. Watley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Second by Ms. Bailey. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have a
It-
question.
She said.
I said question, you were looking down.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said second.
She said second, I said question.
Yes, ma'am.
The January 26 minutes, I was going to ask the trustee from District 2 to verify her vote for her nominee. I believe it was 8-1 and it's listed 9-0.
And that was supposed to be corrected. I sent that correction in over the weekend.
It's still showing on the updated that I looked at 9-0.
But you are correct
Okay.
on the vote for candidate 3.
Ms. Bowles.
It was
can make that
8-1.
update, Madam Chairman.
That will be correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry it's not already. Any other questions before we vote on the acceptance of the minutes? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Then approved with correction. Special recognition, Ms. Huggins, or Andy, or I think it's Andy. Andy?
Good evening, Board of Trustees, district leaders, and community members. We have several recognitions to present this evening. First up, we have Brian Coleman, principal of Thomas C. Cario Middle School. He has been selected as the recipient of the prestigious South Carolina Council for Exceptional Children Principal of the Year Award. The honor recognizes Coleman's outstanding contributions for advancing opportunities and outcomes for exceptional children and youth. Under Coleman's leadership, Cario has achieved remarkable progress in supporting students with special needs. Over the past 3 years, the school has more than doubled its proficiency scores, according to the SC Ready assessment, in English language arts for special education students, and nearly doubled proficiency in math, gains that exceed both district and state averages for this population. Coleman will be honored at an awards luncheon this Friday in Myrtle Beach. And I know Principal Coleman would want me to say this. This is a team award that belongs to the entire staff at Cario. So congratulations to him and the entire Cario community for this recognition.
So exceptional schools have exceptional leaders, and Brian Coleman is truly an exceptional leader. He gives every day 110%. His school is one of many where we're seeing outcomes improve across the board for all groups of students. And so, Brian, we're really blessed to have you here in the Charleston County School District. So thank you again for your work. Let's give him another round of applause. Y'all smile. Congratulations.
All right, next we'd like to welcome Wando High School Principal Chaz Coker, who has been named the 2026 Dr. K. Phillips Administrator of the Year by the Southern Interscholastic Press Association. This honor recognizes his exceptional support for student media programs and for cultivating student journalists. According to Philip Caston, the advisor for the school's award-winning student media programs, Coker has, quote, continued the standard of Wando's and the district's commitment to outstanding student media and then some, and has worked with us to cultivate and build our student media programs into even stronger opportunities and learning experiences for our students, end quote. Principal Coker has been invited to attend SIPA's annual convention in Columbia, where he will receive his award and address students and advisors from across the state at the awards banquet on March 7th. Way to go, Chaz Coker. All right, and finally for this evening, for special recognitions, it's time to call up Military Magnet Academy's First Tech Challenge robotics team, Talon Skies. This team represented South Carolina at the United States Governor's Cup, a national robotics showcase at Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. this past weekend, where they finished in the top half of the nation, 22nd overall out of close to 50 teams. Talon Sky's achievement reflects the dedication of a committed coaching and mentorship team, including Staff Sergeant Ferret Clark, Darwin Shorters, the computer science teacher at MMA, Staff Sergeant Jerry White, middle school leadership instructor, and Sally Ann Archie, a mentor from BAE Systems. These educators consistently collaborate, innovate, and provide real-world STEM connections for these students, preparing them for career futures. First South Carolina is part of the Global First, which stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology, organization which inspires young people to pursue education and careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through exciting mentor-based robotics programs. Once again, congratulations to the MMA robotics team, Talon Skies.
Again, behind every great group of students is a great principal, Dr. Perrineau. We're really proud of you. You want to introduce these other adults you have here with you and all these fine folks?
So good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for taking a few moments just to recognize these amazing scholars. There's something great going on Carter Avenue every day. So if you get a chance, stop by. Putting that plug in for MMA. I have Sergeant Clark, who is the brain trust really of robotics and technology at our school. She started a few years ago and it's grown to 3 cybersecurity teams, including 1 full all-female team and 2 varsity level competing robotics team, Talent Skies, which represented us in Washington, D.C., and Robo Eagles. Mr. Shorters, who is one of our CT instructors, a mentor, etc. Ms. Archie, who is a graduate parent, but still around hanging out and mentoring our students and our kids and supporting our robotics and cybersecurity programs. Mr. Singleton is somewhere. Oh, our assistant principal. So thank you again.
Okay, everybody. Great for me. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Congratulations. Thank you, guys.
You're good.
That's the spirit.
So thank you so much. All of that is why we're all here. You want to make reference to what will be done later well, I guess, wait a minute. It's not on the. We're good. Okay. So that concludes our special recognitions. Correct. All right. We will move on to public comments. We respect the public comment agenda item and ask that everyone respect the policy that supports it. As always, I will read the highlights. Individuals who wish to address the board must sign in prior to the open session. Only those individuals who have signed up may speak, and the speaker must be the person who registered. And we were just given how many people? Let me see. So I suppose every person will get about 1.25 minutes. Speakers may not use the public comment for personal or derogatory remarks about any individual. to discuss personnel matters or to address private or confidential matters. Speakers are to discuss issues, not individuals. Issues addressed should reflect business that is before the board and/or relevant to the district. That concludes the policy summary. I will say that if a speaker strays from this policy, the gavel will sound as a reminder. So we are moving forward, thanking you for your respectful participation. Names will now be called in groups of 3, and we ask that you please state your name before making your comment. So the first 3 speakers that may approach the podium are Candace Sugars, Stephen Rosenberg, and Kara Shank.
I always have to get on my tiptoes. Thank you so much. It's good to be here, and I really commend the board for considering the different options for children to attend school on the peninsula. Having been a teacher myself, I care about children and them being in their neighborhood schools. So I'm here to support. I live in the North Central neighborhood, and I'm here to support option 4 or option 5. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Rosenberg, honorable members of the Board of Trustees. I'm a father and I'm the president of the North Central Neighborhood Association. I'm here in strong support of options 4 and 5, both of which keep North Central together. For our families, James Simmons isn't just an assigned school, it's our neighborhood school. Children walk and bike there every morning, some by my own front door. Parents greet one another on the sidewalks. It's part of the daily fabric of our lives. When earlier proposals divided North Central, they divided neighbors from neighbors. In a single weekend, more than 100 residents signed this petition here to keep North Central together. That response reflects a shared commitment to stability, walkability, and preserving the bond between our neighborhood and our school. And if I may, I don't mean any disrespect putting on a hat inside, but we wear these Tree Streets hats in our neighborhood with pride. They represent the heart of North Central and the unity we share. And tonight, that unity is what I'm asking you to preserve. I respectfully ask you to adopt an option 4 or 5 that keeps North Central whole. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Kara Shank. I am a mother of 2. I'm a North Central resident. My oldest is actually one of the kids who walks by Stephen's house every morning on his bike. So we love walking to James Simmons. We've only been there a year, but it's near and dear to our routine and our heart. And so I'm here on behalf of my family's future. I have a youngest who hopefully soon will be in that same school. And our neighborhood of streets and all the little kids who are coming up, we want them to stay unified. We want them to be walkable. We want them to all experience the idea of biking to school, waving to your neighbors, seeing business owners who also have kids in the same school. They all play together at the same park. A lot of them start in the same little preschool down the street. So before my son even started, he knew a lot of kids going into this program, which really helped the transition. And I just actually drove straight here from Florence County School District, where I attended a STEM Center ribbon cutting today. And I was talking to the deputy superintendent, and he said, over their past 7 years of change, which have been remarkable, the key part has been keeping neighborhoods walkable, inclusive, and together. And so I think if we can do that with James Simmons and North Central, you'll have all of our full support in fostering the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school to become much better, and hopefully a standout for the state. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next, Claudia Brown, Clara Bailey, and Emmy May.
Great evening, all. My name is Claudia J. Brown, a proud 1976 graduate of St. John's High School. My husband, Chris Brown Jr., who is a 1972 graduate. We are business owners. All 3 of our children, 2 goddaughters, and 7 grandchildren are all graduate of St. John's High School. We taught our children and grandchildren the Christian value to be honest, fair, and treat people the way they want to be treated. The class of 76, which I'm a proud graduate of, on a yearly basis, we provide 5 to 6 scholarships to St. John seniors just to give them a little financial head start. We are not asking for any favor, just asking you to be fair and to treat the candidate that was nominated to represent us as though he was the candidate you submitted. Dr. Brian McClure deserves a chance to represent District 8.
I'm sorry you can't use proper names.
Okay, that person deserves to have a chance to represent District 8 as he was the only African American nominated. Give him a chance to stand in the gap for District 8. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Clara Bailey. I'm a downtown parent of 3 and a proud graduate of CCSD schools from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Excuse me 1 minute. We'll wait. We'll hold that so people can hear you over the alarm going off. Diligent must be in charge.
Okay, now. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I'm here tonight in support of the Peninsula Promise and on behalf of the 173 community members who signed this petition that was emailed to you this week. As a parent raising 3 children downtown, I want them to have access to strong, well-supported public schools in their own community. Right now, too many Peninsula families lack confidence in the middle and high school. That unfortunately affects enrollment, programming, and long-term stability. What encourages me about the Peninsula Promise is that it presents a clear vision, stronger pathways, expanded academics and arts opportunities, and meaningful partnerships centered around Burke High School. This is an opportunity to rebuild trust and create lasting stability for downtown schools. I urge you to move forward with clarity and urgency, and to also, I support option 5 for zoning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emmy Mai. I'm the parent of a James Simmons Montessori kindergartner, and I've lived on the peninsula for 15 years. I want to express my deep gratitude for and enthusiastic support of the Peninsula Project. While we love our elementary school, my husband and I care immensely about our child's education and have been concerned about where we would send our daughter to middle and especially high school. We're big believers in public education. I actually used to be a former CCSD teacher, and we are also a multiracial family. It's important to us that our child goes to a school with children of all races and backgrounds. We want to send our child to our zone school, but we are beginning to come to terms with the reality that we may need to apply to magnet and charter schools off the peninsula. With the improvements put in place by the Peninsula Project, we are hopeful this will not be the case. Thank you for your support of this project, and please keep working with us to improve education on the peninsula. Also, please choose option 4 or 5. Let's keep neighbors together and playgrounds together, right? Where children play together after school. Thanks.
Ms. Mai, we're recruiting teachers back to the classroom too.
Right. Deborah Grant, Dr. Patty Gordon, and Amanda McDonough.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Grant. I am addressing the issue, which is, I believe, number B, CCSD Education Foundation Board of Director Appointments, I believe. And it's in regards to the candidate that you voted for. I stand before you and ask that you vote for the candidate for District 8. This candidate has participated at Edith L. Fry's Montessori School and is led to be voted in as a chairperson. This candidate is very relatable to the needs and the cause of the Commerce for the District 8. The candidate has also a skill set that can be adaptive, execute, endure, and to bring about the best solution for the cause. As the city islands continue a massive growth, the candidate's exposure, experience, and knowledge of a metropolitan city will be an asset to the growth of District 8, as well as CCSD. I stand before you today and ask you to please reconsider your vote and please vote for the candidate that's best for District 9 and District 8 and its future. Thank you.
My name is Reverend Dr. Patty E. Gordon. I'm the pastor of the Johns Island Parish on Johns and Guatemala Islands. And I am here to ask that I'm not here alone, so all that's with me, please stand. And ask that you remember, this is being a part of the school board and a trustee is not about your own ideology of what it should look like. You cannot hold a person back because you dislike the representative or the trustee of that area, or because you have issues. It appears that that stuff shows so brightly in this board. And so that is unacceptable because our kids are more important than that. And so for you just to make up as you go because it works for you, that is deplorable. It is disgraceful. And so as a board of leaders, we would ask that you not do that you not just withdraw from somebody for no apparent reason, whose education and whose abilities speak volume as to what he can bring to the community. So again, I say shame on you if you are just doing it just because you don't like a person.
Shame on the people who manipulate them.
I am Amanda Bagdonis, excellent pronunciation, and thank you very much. I'm here to offer my support for Peninsula Promise, and thank you for involving the community every step of the way. I'm a former public high school teacher, I am a Peninsula parent, and I'm a member of the Superintendent's Literacy Roundtable. So thank you for giving us a place where our voices are heard. We respectfully ask you to vote for option 5 in regards to the attendance lines. We've been in conversation with neighbors across the peninsula, and option 5 maintains our community's diversity and walkability. The Peninsula Promise provides a place that shows diversity. My son's classmates speak different languages, and they arrive from all backgrounds, socioeconomic, cultural, and more. We do ask for care and consideration for our Mitchell students and families who are impacted by these changes. We are trying to teach our son how to ride his bicycle to James Simmons, so we also hope for safe infrastructure for biking and walking to allow him and his classmates to grow in independence. We are also grateful to support our littlest ones with access to universal pre-K. Again, we ask that you vote for option 5 in attendance lines, and thank you for your attention to detail, your proactive communication, and your thoughtful work.
Next, Bethany Nemeth, Jamila Gadsden, and Mev McIntosh.
Hello, my name is Bethany Nimitz. I'm here to express my enthusiastic support of Peninsula Promise and option 5. I'm a Peninsula mom of 4 children, 2 attend James Simmons Montessori, and my eldest is a recent James Simmons graduate. I strongly believe that public schools should be racially and socioeconomically diverse. Public education is the foundation of a just society. Separate but equal schools were outlawed in 1964. But for Peninsula residents, it can easily appear that the law doesn't always apply here. The Peninsula Promise lays the groundwork for a new downtown educational landscape that is equitable for all students, regardless of race or class. Superintendent Huggins and her team have created this plan with data, evidence-based practices, and community input at the forefront. I support option 5 because it maintains safe pedestrian access for students living in the neighborhoods surrounding James Simmons, while ensuring that we have a diverse student body zone for our school. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Jamila Gadsden. I'm a teacher and parent at Burke High School, and I'm here in support of the Peninsula Promise, and just want to thank the team that is working diligently to help ensure that the students on the peninsula have what they deserve and continue to receive the support and the programming that we know that we once had, that we will now, that will be brought back to us. And we just hope that in doing so, that our families that are on the peninsula trust those teachers who are working diligently at the middle and high school level are doing their very best every day, day in and day out, so that they can provide what students need across the board. And so as we entrust you all to continue to provide what we need, we are asking that everyone trust us to give back to the community. And we look forward to seeing them at Burke High School.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mev McIntosh. I am an English teacher at Burke High School. And I just want to say to the parents who are asking for and are expecting high quality middle school and high school here on the peninsula, I'm just asking you all to believe in Burke. We have phenomenal educators, we have amazing scholars, and we continue to build that bridge, and we need your help. We want businesses, we want partnerships, not just in the D20 community, but also outside of the community. We know we have a lot of Burke and Simmons Pinckney alum and graduates who've gone on to do very successful things, and we want them to return and share with us their knowledge, their wisdom, and their experiences. So for the parents who are sending their children right now to James Simmons and other elementary schools in D20, all I have to say is come visit us at Burke. Come work with us, come collaborate with us, because we are, as Ms. Gadsden said, we are teachers who care and love our children dearly, and we want what's best and what every child deserves. So we do believe that our students at Burke High School deserve the best, and we're willing to work with you all to make that happen. So once again, my message is very simple: believe in Burke. Thank you.
The next three, Cindy Van Bulk, Libby Tisdale, Emmanuel Ferguson.
Good evening. My name is Sydney Van Bullock, and genuinely, I try not to come speak to y'all if I don't have to. I'm here at every meeting because I'm on a multitude of committees and boards in relation to education, so I try to just come to observe. But every once in a while, I feel the need to speak, and tonight is one of those nights. 4 weeks ago, you voted down the candidate for District 8, and then 2 weeks ago, he showed up, and we all got to witness, you all got to witness him defend himself, and I was personally blown away that his credentials were astounding, and to not vote him through tonight would be an injustice. It truly would. It would be an injustice to the people of District 8, and it's an injustice to your fellow board member by showing such a blatant disrespect. There's a rumor that potentially it is going to be voted down again tonight, and that another board member plans to nominate someone else. And if that's the case, I just say shame on you, because District 8 deserves better. So I hope that's not true. Thank
Please
you. Good
be
night.
careful with derogatory comments. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Ferguson. I went to Springfield Elementary School, and I taught at Burke, or not at Burke, I student taught at Burke, but I taught 7th grade social studies at Military Magnet Academy. So these past two board meetings I've been to, it's like a school reunion. So it's great. Listen, I hate, I shouldn't use the word hate. It's my pet peeve when people tell me how to do my job when they've never done it before. And I understand there's a difference with elected officials because you are elected with a mandate to do a thing. But we trust you to do that with your due diligence and to do it with in a manner that is respectful and courteous, not only to us as the general public, but to you all as each other. We look to you all as leaders who are going to work through your differences and give true rationale when you have concerns and legitimate concerns about a candidate, rather than just say, I don't know that person, so I'm not going to vote for them. We elect you to talk to that board member and get to know that person, because we can't do it as parents who have jobs and other responsibilities. We ask you to do that work for us. So I would just ask that you do it respectfully, you do it with concern, and thank you so much for everything you do. I really do appreciate it.
First, I would like to say hello to former coworkers here. Hello. In my time, oh God, I'm excited. Good evening. My name is Libby Tisdale. I am a resident and a community leader in District 5. I am here tonight to urge District 5 trustee to please vote yes for the qualified candidate nominated by the District 8 trustee member to serve on the CCSD Foundation, or at least give a clear and honest reason why you're not choosing to support that nomination. Maybe you know something about him that District 8 member don't know. Please talk about it. This candidate is well qualified. District 8 deserves representation just as any other district. September 2024, I sent you an email inviting you to our Communities National Night Out. You did not attend, however, you did send me a return reply stating why you weren't able to come, because there was a board meeting, a special call board meeting on that day. The same thing applies here. We need some reason, a clear reason why you choose not to vote for this person. Let me remind you, your job is to make sure all CCSD school district children are represented fairly by the school, the district, and even the CCSD Foundation. Thank you.
Next up is the Reverend Cynthia Smalls, Andrea Grabman, and the Reverend Nelson Rivers.
Amen. Psalm 51:10 says, to create in me a clean heart and a right spirit. Good evening. I am Reverend Cynthia Smalls. I just want to say, please, Board of Trustees, do the right thing. Please nominate. Vote yes on the nominee that District 8 sent in to you guys. Now, I'm going to say this. If Superintendent Huggins, and I'm going to call the name, the superintendent has the right, I'm going to ask a respectful question, and it's a very important, because I know the superintendent well enough to know that if she had to make this decision for herself, if she had to choose this nominee or all the nominees, she would pick the person. She wouldn't pick them based on the color of their skin or by somebody don't like them. She would do the content of his character, his qualification. What can he do for the children? The heart of our children. She would have done that. I know without a doubt, because she's working out there. But instead, we allowed you guys to do it, and you're doing it out of haste. God does not like that. God is not some of you need to look in the mirror and ask God to forgive you. You're more than welcome.
Next speaker.
You're more than welcome, because we have a very strong superintendent and a weak board of trustees. Dysfunctional. I said it. Yes, I said it.
Good evening. I'm trying to regain the use of my voice, so pardon that. My name is Andrea Grabman, and I'm here to show support for the Peninsula Promise Plan and to advocate for option 5 regarding rezoning. My husband and I live in Wagner Terrace, and our 2 children attend James Simmons Montessori. Our oldest is in 6th grade, and like a lot of parents, we've been discussing the area high schools. I'm hopeful for what the Peninsula Promise Plan means for the future of Burke High School and for our very vibrant Peninsula community. I realize that the plan involves converting Mitchell to a middle school, which does displace students. A community member has spoken very passionately about those students, and I hope the board is able to address their needs in a very meaningful way. I would also like the board to consider option 5 regarding rezoning. This allows our neighbors in North Central and West Side to continue to go to James Simmons Montessori, which is a walkable, bikeable option for them. And if anybody is not aware, we have a wonderful bike bus that's bi-monthly, and we'd like for that to continue. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm the Reverend Nelson B. Rivers III. I'm a proud graduate of Burke High School downtown. And when I graduated from Burke High School, I could not go to Rivers or I could not go to Charleston because it was a mean school board. And the mean school board would not let people like me go to school with people like you sitting out here. I caution you now, members of the board, you're mean. You do things out of mean-spiritedness. I would challenge the chair's ruling that I can't call the name of the person because you voted against him, not by number, but by name. If you can vote against him by name, I should be able to call the name that you voted against. But Pharaoh hardened your heart, as did Caesar, as did Herod. I am greatly insulted that so many of you call yourselves Christians. And the challenge in public life, the hypocrisy that turns off folk who are not Christian from being Christians, because Christians don't act like Christians when they're sitting in different places. Christians would never do something just because you're retaliating against somebody, you're upset with the person who is an uppity black woman. You know you can't stand uppity black women. You don't like black women who speak truth to your face. You really don't like black women who don't bow, scrape, and bend when you want them to do so. So this board voted personally to take down somebody because you're trying to retaliate against a member of the board. That's not fair. That's not just. But I got news for you. It ain't like Christ either. If you're going to be like Christ, let me help you understand what Christ would be like. Christ did not want to be Caesar because Caesar was evil, did not want to be Herod because Herod was also evil, and did not want to remember Pharaoh because Pharaoh was evil. You are acting like you're either Caesar, Pharaoh, or just plain downright evil. In civil rights history, Charleston County has kept the schools segregated for all these years for one purpose and for one reason. The board was mean. You're acting like stop being so mean.
The last two speakers are Joseph Worley and Sarah Spangler.
Hi, good or evening. I guess it's evening now. Joseph Worley, on behalf of the North Central Neighborhood Association, West Side, as well as Wagner Terrace, everybody that's represented here, want to echo the support for the Peninsula Promise and the support for option 4, option 5. We didn't have an option 4, option 5 2 weeks, 10 days ago. I think that shows an awesome commitment from the superintendent, from her team, from the folks that we've interacted with. So we appreciate that, the dialogue and the constructive. I think partnership is really the best word to describe this. So we're very grateful for that. Also, one of our neighbors just mentioned the bike bus. My 2-year-old, he's not quite old enough just yet, but in the mornings, when he was very young, walking him by James Simmons and the activity and the energy around it. I mean, it's something we're really looking forward to as parents and really looking forward to as members of this community. So we hope that holds true and we can get this across the finish line. Last thing, I work in the hospitality industry. I just found out as a result of the meeting that I attended last week that Burke High School has a culinary program. I've been in touch with members of the team and looking forward to continuing that partnership as well on a professional level. Thank you all very much.
Hi, good evening, board. My name is Sarah Spangler, and I'm the president of the West Side Neighborhood Association. First, I just want to also express my gratitude for Superintendent Huggins. Jeff and Heather have been so communicative and responsive and collaborative with us on this project. I'm here to strongly support the Peninsula Promise and option 5 because it reflects balanced, data-informed decisions grounded in walkability, capacity stewardship, West Side resident feedback, and long-term opportunity. From a demographic standpoint, West Side currently contains fewer elementary school age students than other Upper Peninsula neighborhoods, ensuring that inclusion of West Side will not strain capacity at James Simmons. While other areas of the neighborhood are under redevelopment below Fishburne, this option 5 ensures that they will have excellent school pipelines for those new families that will be moving in soon. If Fishburne is used as seen in option 5, no West Side student would be more than half a mile from James Simmons for walkability. Walkability is central to our way of life. This is represented as 45% of adults in the Upper Peninsula commute without a vehicle compared to 25% citywide. Finally, West Side contributes meaningfully to socioeconomic and racial diversity. If our guiding principles are walkability, safety, logical boundaries, capacity stewardship, and long-term equity, option 5 best aligns with those goals. I'm grateful for the leadership and collaboration that brought this together. And to all of the really great North Central people that came out this evening too. And West Side.
This afternoon, we also received written public comment submissions with 59 addressing the Peninsula Promise or its zoning options, with 3 mentioning the CCSD Education Foundation nomination, and with 4 about the Memminger Pick class relocation. And with that being said, we will move on to item 4, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. McKinney. If I could really quickly, Ms. McKinney, I just want to, in follow up to public comments. I want to thank the public for really thoughtfully engaging with us in the community meetings. Several of you attended those as well. The members who came tonight, they engaged very professionally and were very communicative with our team. And so it was an honor to work alongside them. I think Mr. Broey and Ms. Studer would agree as we thought about how to best serve the community. So I want to thank them. I also want to assure the public, as we'll present a little bit later as we talk about the Peninsula Promise, that we are taking good care of the Mitchell families and also the Mitchell staff. Mr. Brigman and his team have met individually with the staff members. We're meeting with the families, Mr. Baroe and Ms. Studer and I, and we're meeting with special education families across the peninsula. So I want to assure the public of that. I also want the public to know, as was referenced in some of the comments, that we're working carefully with the mayor and his office on the safety as we consider walkability of neighborhoods. And I thank Captain Baroe for leading that effort. And again, I just want to thank the community for working so thoughtfully with us, understanding that there were some things that we could do and some things that we just didn't think served well the community at large. But again, the professionalism was impeccable, so thank you. And we'll transition now to a very quick superintendent's report. I want to thank, first of all, the last slide here, we're not, in the interest of time, going to show the video tonight because it was sent out. Ms. Mills and her team sent the video out today to the entire CCSD. And so we won't show that video here tonight in the interest of time, but I want to thank most of you that were able to attend our 10th gala event where we celebrated great teachers and great leaders and the work that they do with kids across the district. It took a whole lot of teamwork, people from Mr. Baroe's shop and folks from Mr. Prentice from HR, and people from Mrs. Simmons and Dr. Clamp's teams to really pull that event off. It's a huge event. We hosted over 900 folks on Saturday evening, and it was a great time to celebrate K-12 education. So we thank you for being there, and we thank the public for their belief in public education because a whole lot of partners signed on. So Maggie, I'll go back to slide 2. Very quickly, we want to give you a quick update regarding mid-year progress of students. Mrs. Roberts presented last month on the proficiency expectations and projections for students. This month, we're very quickly going to report on student growth on iReady and on MAP from fall to winter in the 3 groups represented by the WSF: students with disabilities, multilingual learners, and pupils in poverty. We want to show you that our goal is to move as many students as we can to high achievement and high growth, and we're seeing that in many of our schools across the district. You'll see students with disabilities in regards to reading that we had 3 schools. We've spent a week or most of a week, the senior leaders and I, working on how to support principals as they work with student assessments in elevating the achievement and growth of our students. But you'll see in the elementary schools, Dr. Swearingen and I have been table buddies, regrettably for her, most of the week. 3 schools, again, from where they were to high achievement and high growth. And then you'll see here again, we also included where there was little progress or where some schools regressed. Multilingual learners, again, change from winter 26 to winter 25 here, but you'll see how schools are progressing. We had a decline from last winter to this winter in our middle schools, from high achievement to high growth, and then you'll see our pupils in poverty in our high schools, excuse me, Mr. Roy, lean back, 4 schools, to high achievement and to high growth in our pupils in poverty. So again, we wanted to represent it for you with our WSF group, students with disabilities, multilingual learners, pupils in poverty on iReady reading. Again, a lot of optimism here, but we still have a lot of work to do. You'll see the same thing in here for mathematics, students with disabilities, multilingual learners, pupils in poverty. From winter 2026, you'll see represented at the bottom the differences in where we were last winter compared to this winter. Again, the goal here is to have more schools moving into high achievement and into high growth, and you'll see that across all 3 groups of students, with 6 schools moving into that high achievement and high growth, 4 schools with multilingual, again, into high achievement and high growth, and 3 schools going into that high achievement and high growth for pupils in poverty. So we're trending in the right direction. Again, saw a decline with the multilingual students, which we're looking closely at with Dr. Rush and her team from fall to winter, but overall, a lot of optimism. Again, Mrs. Roberts did a much more thorough dissection of this for you last month, but Dr. Clamp and I are certainly open to any questions that you might have about growth from fall to winter across these 3 groups. Madam Chair, that's all for tonight. And I'm certainly open to any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Hollenshed.
Just a compliment for her and point something out. Superintendent Huggins, I saw a commercial the other day where you were advertising for the summer feeding program, and I want to compliment you and your staff on the way that you put that together and the way that you had it marketed, which shows that you come a long way. But since this is Black History Month, I want to make sure I point something out, and I would be reluctant if I didn't. You know, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale of the Black Panthers founded the first free summer program for feeding breakfast in 1969. In 1969. What that, Will Nelson? I looked it up. In Oakland, California. And the purpose was to combat food hunger and to get kids the proper nutrition to be able to be successful in school. This grew across the country and ran for about 11 years, from 1969 to 1980. And so just amazing how these individuals were demonized and labeled, and all they cared about was serving their community. Now, I asked a question today, has things changed? I respond, no. We still demonize individuals we don't agree with. We still combat, and we gotten to the point because of the national.
Mr. Hollenshed, I hate to interrupt, but I am going to.
Please let me finish my point. It's Black History Month. Let me finish the point, please.
But I'm responsible for staying on track with the agenda, and the agenda item is, are there any questions about the superintendent's report? Mr. Frampton, does he finish his 11 seconds?
I think you have a comment to the superintendent.
All right.
I understood it in 11.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Anyway, you made me lose my train of thought. She's trying to cut me off. I tell you, boy, they don't realize this is election year for them. So anyway,
Thank you. Are there other questions? Are there Any questions for the
Yes, sir.
superintendent and her report? Ms.
Mhm. Ms. Huggins, are there schools that receive increased funding that showed no or little increase in the different categories? And if so, are there corrective plans put in place? How are we going to measure if it's working, if it's not working, and the return on our investment?
Absolutely. So, and I do want to correct on slide 2, I think I saw the M and I called that middle schools. It's been a really long week this far. I meant multilingual learners. So Dr. Williams, forgive me for that. Yes, we're monitoring closely our associate superintendents and our principal supervisors. Again, we're in an all week long session this week talking about student data. So, our principal supervisors have close tabs on all schools, whether they're making gains and which groups of students they are. They're making adjustments. They've already made adjustments, quite frankly, to mid-year plans. Many have reallocated funds, weighted student funds, and Mr. Prentice and his team opened up the amendment window. So we've reallocated funds differently. If we thought some things that we weren't doing in the fall worked, we believe, in some cases, we believe there were strategies in place that we just haven't yet seen an ROI. As many of you know, typically and nationally, you typically see decline in winter, but we don't ever want to see a decline. And so we're going school by school, Mrs. Roberson. Even in our middle and high schools, particularly in our high schools, we're using benchmark data, checkpoints, derivative that helps us understand if our students are on track to meet their end of course results, for example. So the short answer is yes. We have a handle on it. Our principal supervisors are meeting individually with principals. And where we've needed to, we've reallocated resources to make sure that kids are served well.
Okay. How often are you going to do that? I guess what I'm getting at is that I don't want us to wait until it's too late.
It's nearly continuously, Mrs. Roberson. So we don't wait to school data reviews to do that. Our principals, our supervisors are in schools almost every day. I'd say most principal supervisors are in schools every day working with principals and looking at data. And we're not even waiting to mid-year data. As I suggested, we're using benchmark data and checkpoint data as formative assessments to look and drill down to student assessments to see if students have mastered content. And really, our work this week with Paul Bambrick is about using unit tests and assessments and not even waiting on benchmarks and checkpoints. And so we are doing that consistently. And my job is to make sure that principal supervisors have whatever duties on their plates that keep them from being in schools and classrooms removed so that they can be true instructional leaders. In fact, these signs around the room represent, including for me, where we'll all lead assessment meetings in the next 2 months with principals looking at student mastery, and it drills down to what grade level and what subject area. So this team is very committed to continuous improvement and working with principals across the system.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about the superintendent's report? Thank you, Ms. Huggins.
Thank you, Mrs. McKinney.
We will go on to item 5A, strategic education. Who is there? So many names. Who's going to carry the ball? Are you Dr. Clamp?
Yes, ma'am. I'll begin.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Megan Bocino is here with Dr. Clamp. Megan, come on up. And Mr. Kevin Smith, we have a guest speaker.
Yes, sir. And Virginia State.
And Mrs. Sayer. Come right on up, Mrs. Sayer and Mr. Smith.
We've got a team tonight, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to present information and progress towards Interim Guardrail 2, Conditions and Competencies for Learning. You see an acronym outside that, SAM and TFI. We'll tell you what that is, but I'm excited to have some teammates behind me that are going to present some of the data and some of the on-the-ground, boots on the ground information within their schools. This guardrail ensures that our schools have strong systems in place and that students succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. Conditions and competencies for learning are very important to us. And just to echo something that Superintendent Huggins said, we're monitoring this on a daily basis. And this data gives us a chance to assess where we are and where we know we need to be. So you'll hear tonight information about MTSS, and we'll go through that implementation data with you, as well as student perception data and how these systems have the opportunity to strengthen the conditions for our students for learning. You'll advance to the next slide. Just to remind you, multi-tiered systems of support, MTSS, is a very strategic way to ensure that every student is taken care of, both socially and emotionally and academically. And so it is important to us at the school level, and you hear Ms. McKenna and our principals talk about how critical it is that our systems are really valid and confident, and that we really ensure that these components of the assessment, the conditions, the collaboration, et cetera, that you see on this page are really optimized. And so the SAM, the self-assessment of MTSS, is a way that each school assesses their implementation. So this data tonight that we're going to present is about each school's implementation of MTSS. And the way they gather that implementation information is to use the TFI, or the Tier Fidelity Inventory. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that as well. But we just want to ensure that this implementation allows for a strong core instruction for all of our students, and it aligns and addresses both academic and behavioral needs of students. You can advance the slide. So again, MTSS and the SAM model, the self-assessment, again, it gives us an opportunity to report at the school level how that implementation is going. And so tonight, what you'll hear from the principals is a little bit of on-the-ground feedback. We've told them to be brief tonight in the interest of time, but really important to hear from Ms. Bacchino in just a moment about the data. What I want to be sure that you understand and that we think about, that this process is not about compliance, it's about structured reflection. And our schools are really reflecting upon their implementation. So now I'll hand it off to Ms. Bacchino and our principals to share with you the data and some of the strategies that we've already undertaken to continue to improve these conditions for learning for our students. Ms. Bacchino?
All right, good evening. So you'll see here our 2027 goals are to move our elementary schools from 89% with that implementation to 95%, middles from 69% to 84%, and highs from 45% to 60%. As of fall 2025, with our first assessment this school year of that SAM tool and instrument, our elementary schools really remain strong at 89%. Our middle schools continue building capacity at 70%, and our high schools have grown significantly from a starting benchmark baseline of 45% in 2023 to now at 61%. So again, you see that elementary schools are remaining stable, and our secondary schools are really making some meaningful gains. Next slide, please. We also measure student experience using the Panorama Survey, which is a nationally recognized student perception survey. For this guardrail, we focus on sense of belonging. So thinking about those questions of, do our students feel accepted and included, and self-management. So do students feel they're able to manage their behavior, their attention, their focus, their emotions? So this data really helps ensure our schools are elevating and incorporating that student voice into our overall improvement efforts. So here again, fall 2025 results show our elementary student sense of belonging steady at 70%, and secondary, which includes our grades 6 through 12, rising to 59%, which is nearing target. Our elementary student self-management at 76%, and secondary self-management at 77%, meeting their 2027 goal early. So we're seeing that, again, strong progress in self-management and some continued opportunity to strengthen our students' sense of belonging, particularly at that secondary level. Next slide, thanks. So to sustain and accelerate that progress, we've really strengthened how the district supports our school leaders and school teams system-wide. So we are excited to be able a really strong cross-collaboration across departments to launch the Student Success MTSS platform, which is a data analytics platform this school year, really giving teachers and leaders easier access to real-time data for that student-centered decision-making. We've shifted, as you heard the superintendent just speaking to, some of that data-driven resource allocation, aligning those WSF and other strategic investments to school needs and the student outcomes. We've also done a lot of work as a district aligning those MTSS action steps to 90-day plans, school renewal plans, and the CCSD 1 plan, and differentiated MTSS cohort meetings, which we led a really successful one this morning, strengthened our cross-department collaboration, and then continued participation in our State Department of Education, MTSS Grow and Gather collaborative, and then continued to update resources and supports and tools that will connect that infrastructure to our outcomes. So this work really is important because that strong MTSS systems implementation and our PBIS, which really focus on our climate and environment efforts, that implementation overall is leading to what we're seeing as improved school climate, fewer discipline incidents, and more instructional time for students. We're fortunate to have some wonderful principal leaders from our middle school learning community with us tonight who can really share how this work comes to life and is operationalized at that school level, and how that SAM TFI reflection process helps their teams clarify systems and identify any gaps and allocations of aligned resources, just as continuous school improvement efforts to support all students. So they really are going to highlight how our district strategy translates into that daily practice in schools. So I'm excited to turn it over to Kevin Smith from Baptist Hill Middle and Virginia Sayer from Camp Road Middle.
Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, all senior leaders, and everyone else in their respective places. As stated, my name is Kevin Smith. I am the principal of the newly established Baptist Hill Middle School. And I just want to share with you a little bit about how we operationalize MTSS and the use of the tools that we have. So one, I want to say that the use of the Panorama for Education and the Student Success platform, it saves hours of time, because we had to usually find data from different sources. We all had different spreadsheets. We had different ways we did it, but this really streamlines that. And so now we don't have to use that type of time to do that. But I'll talk a little bit about what we do at Baptist Hill Middle. So we have an MTSS team, a leadership team. We meet weekly. We meet on Wednesday mornings. And what we do is essentially we get a chance to look at how are our systems, what is the health of our school, because the platform allows us to look at how our scholars are doing in their academics, attendance, behavior, their character, and well-being. And so when we are meeting, we're looking both at the individual scholars, because when we go in there, we're going to look at individual scholars. But if we see that we have way too many scholars who may not be in a place of health, then we know that maybe it's not a tier 2 or tier 3, maybe it's a tier 1 concern that we need to look at holistically addressing something in our practices at the school. And I'm going to share an example of that. One of the things, though, when you talked about the SAM, when we did the self-assessment of our MTSS team, because we all think we're doing great, but when we have to sit down and judge ourselves and rate ourselves according to a rubric, we can see where we have gaps. And one of the gaps that we saw was the MTSS team was meeting on a weekly basis in the mornings, but that wasn't really getting back to the teachers. And so we figured out a way to now say, okay, every other week, we're going to meet with the teachers to talk about their scholars, and they can talk to us about what they're seeing, because everything is not captured in data, and maybe it just doesn't raise attention to us, or what we're talking about somehow hasn't gotten to them. So we found that gap, and we're addressing that gap as well. Another thing I want to talk about specifically, because as we think about our 90-day plans, we're talking about improvement, continuous cycles of improvement. What we did, we noticed that we had a concern, and this is my example, we had a concern about where our scholars were in their grades. Now, we're working towards proficiency and all of those things, but we did see that we had too many scholars not quite meeting the expectations of some of their classes. And so at that time in that MTSS team meeting, we said, what are our root causes? That's one of the things you start with. What's happening? That's the red flag. What are the root causes? How do we address it? And then we began to create a system to put in place to address that thing. And then we also say, what is the process measure to determine, are we doing what we say we're doing? And what is the outcome measure that we want to, is it making a difference? And so one of those things that came out of that is creating the Bobcat Center, right? Which is where we're going to have our scholars come during lunch and say, hey guys, we got some work to do. You can't go outside and do all of these different things when we're not ready to meet the expectation. We're going to make a way for you to be able to get back to what you need to do, but we've got to address first things first. Now, the next thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to say this real quick. I know I can talk, but I'm going to be brief. Okay. The next thing I'm going to say is not only did we see that and have those conversations amongst our MTSS team in our morning meetings, because we have all of our scholars in the cafeteria for about 20 minutes in the morning, Mr. Smith had an open and honest and frank conversation with our scholars to say, hey guys, we got some work that we need to do. Not only did we have those conversations with our scholars, I then made a video to send out to our parents, guardians, and stakeholders. because this is a process of partnering. We identify what's going on, we come up with a way to address it, we partner with everybody who can support us, because at the end of the day, this is about supporting our scholars and their success. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, board. I'm Virginia Sayer, Principal Camp Road. And I think Kevin has covered most of the bases in terms of what we also are doing at Camp Road Middle School, but we're using that student success platform in some unique ways. Imagine having this platform where that data is real time. So we also meet weekly and we're able to pull literally in real time to the day our students who are in the red, yellow, and green zones for their attendance, their behavior, their academics, and their well-being. And then we're able to real time pull small groups, give tiered interventions to those students, and be able week after week to track student progress. We've been able to really be on a mission for our attendance at Camp Road this year and honing in on our chronic attendance. And so right now we are at a 93% attendance rate, which is fantastic. We just have 1% of our whole school that is in the red zone for attendance right now. And what's wonderful about the Panorama platform is I can click on that 1% and it shows me all of those students. So I'm no longer having to pull reports from multiple different areas, but I can look at just those students and I can say, I know that this student is out in the hospital for this reason, and this student is virtual for this reason, and I can really target and then work with my staff on how we are making sure that we get our attendance rates as high as possible, that we get our academics as high as possible, and do that in the real time. We're not having to have lag time in seeing what our students' grades are. One way that we've brought this across the whole school is that in our homeroom, teachers can pull up their students on the Panorama Success platform. So in our homerooms on Fridays, teachers are pulling up the platform and they are having discussions with their students, pulling small groups, having one-on-one conversations so that they can help their students increase in their academics. They can have real-time conversations about behavior. And what we've noticed with that, as the attendance has increased, our behaviors have gone down and our academics have increased alongside of that. We also, looking at those domains, our homeroom teachers aren't necessarily our students' teachers. So what's been really beautiful about that is they are able to hold each other accountable by being able to have collegial conversations on how students are doing in their courses and what they can do to help them. So that's really been beautiful for our community as a school. And then we also are able to link our students who had a low sense of well-being, as noted on their Panorama survey. And we can pull all of those students and we've linked them with an adult and someone that they can make a connection with, so that we've already seen in our climate, we've gone from 34% of students feeling a sense of belonging to over 50%, which has already reached our goal for the year that was in our 90-day plan. So the Student Success Platform is working. We appreciate using it with Fidelity. We appreciate you approving the funding for it because I cannot tell you what a game changer it has been as a school in terms of data and in terms of student success. So it really lives up to its name of being a great platform for that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may, I just wanted to thank the principals tonight that came, and just a reminder that both principals are new to their buildings this year. So Ms. Sayer, new at Camp Road, Mr. Smith, new at Baptist Hill, and already in 6 months, they've been able to apply systems to support children and are constantly monitoring those systems to ensure that we're reaching every child. So we'll pause to see if there's any questions from the board.
Any questions about this report?
I have some
Dr. Temple?
Looking at the data, I'm thinking you all are already achieving the goals. I'm thinking can't imagine what it will be in 2027. Thinking you need to raise the raise the bar. So congratulations. It sounds exciting. I'd like to see that system. There were a couple things on the slides, and probably Dr. Clamp, you're the one who can answer this. We're talking about building the infrastructure and capacity. So I'm wondering what else is needed is there anything else needed to build the capacity and infrastructure for implementation of the SAM and TFI?
So the more that schools and principals use the tool and gather the evidence, the more information they have. So that infrastructure is really about building that routine. And what you heard the two principals reflect upon tonight is that they create a system that they can replicate, and that they monitor that system. So the addition of the Panorama Success platform has been really significant. So I want to thank our CFO and members of our team that brought that recommendation to us. And so as you implement any new technology, it takes a little while to become comfortable with it. So in terms of the infrastructure, we're going to maintain that recommendation. We're also looking at additional add-ons that could continue to enhance the applicability of that tool, while principals in their buildings become really savvy with both using the tool, but while also engaging in the system that they've created and monitoring it along the way.
And so I was wondering, how do you account for the high school achieving less than the middle schools and the elementary schools?
Well, so again, the ratings are their own, and so each individual school is measuring their own implementation. And so our high schools are really being, critical raters of themselves while understanding where they've succeeded and where they need to obviously improve. And so what that rating gives them is the area that they might exist a gap. And you heard both Mr. Smith and Ms. Sayer talk about that. So this is a group of schools, obviously collectively together. Each one has its own space where they recognize a gap. And so our principal supervisors and our principals and the team that of the school support team and the student support team, they all work in coordination to help each school close that gap.
Okay. Then on the self-management slide, I was wondering, why are there higher expectations for the grades 3 through 5 than there are for 6 through 12?
Are you referring to the goals?
Yeah, because grades 3 to 5, we got 82%, and then the 6 through 12, 77%. So
I don't mind speaking to that. All these goals were originally set a baseline the first year that we either completed the self-assessment of MTSS or the Panorama Climate Survey. So therefore, those targets were set to be realistic and reasonable within each learning community based on where they started. So our elementary students started higher in reporting, their self-reporting and reflection on their self-management, and our secondary students reported lower. They actually, while we still have room to grow, nationally trending, our secondary schools have actually made some great growth in the sense of belonging. So it's not a difference between the two. It's a comparison to their own similar schools and learning community.
Okay, and then it's mentioned that PBIS is being used. I didn't see restorative practices listed here. And then I was also wondering what other climate initiatives are being used in the schools?
Certainly, we actually spoke to that today. So the tiered fidelity inventory is our kind of the same measure that the schools use to kind of measure their climate initiatives. It is grounded and founded in those PBIS practices, but in the spring, all schools complete what we call a TFI walkthrough, and they customize that to ask the questions to both students and staff of how do they feel the students understand those rules and expectations. What does that look like? How do you like to be acknowledged? Do you get to participate in listening sessions? So actually the schools are able to use other language than just PBIS. So restorative practice, capturing kids' hearts, whatever that initiative that school has in their 90-day plan to support their overall school climate. Those are all acceptable as long as we're supporting all of our students along tier 1 and those tiered supports.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Grabowski?
So this was implemented when? 2023 is when we set these base numbers,
Practices.
the baseline?
So this is part of the board's goal setting process when they were established back in 2021, 22, Mr. Grabowski, 2022.
And so now we're into 2026. I'm not really a fan of subjective stuff like, scores like this. I do like to see them going up. That's all I really care about. So when we see these numbers, 60% and 50%, because I have no faith in setting a baseline number on any of this. I'm more important to me is what I heard from you and what I see in the schools. And that's subjective, the reality of what is happening in the schools. So, with AI and everything that has been going on, I have not looked into Panorama to see how proactive they've been to adapting. I do know that most programs now that I'm working with, and everybody is working with AI, so there are major changes going through, and so all the baseline numbers from what I'm seeing mean nothing. But once again, where I feel confident in what you're doing is more on the reality, which is the objective side, on the disciplinary. What are these kids saying? What are they talking? What are they telling you the reality? So it's fine and dandy to talk about these numbers and to see them. To me, I'm only one board member. It means nothing. As long as it's going up, that's good. But I really want to hear more from you and the teachers, which I hear when I visit the schools. I say, how is this working? How are these, I love the real time. I think getting the scholars in there talking to it, the more, that's what's really working. And I'm so
appreciate
proud
that.
of you all for doing that.
We appreciate that, Mr. Grabowski, and we understand that when people survey themselves, there is some subjectivity to that, and this was our way of sort of assessing how folks felt about the implementation in the school. What I think is a testament is that uh, as a former middle and high school principal, I would say the single most important system from my perspective in a school is MTSS. Next to effective PLCs or data meetings, whatever you want to call them, right? And so effective MTSS means discipline a lot of times goes down, attendance goes up, achievement goes up. And that's, to your point, what we're holistically seeing in many of our schools. And again, from an old, nearly close to, I can retire person perspective, MTSS really is again, one of the most important, if the not the most important system in the school, and I think it's central to highly effective teams. Brian Coleman, as you saw earlier, Chaz Coker, they have high-functioning MTSS teams, and Kevin and Virginia are both really building that. Kevin at the newly created Baptist Hill Middle School, and it's not lost on me that I asked him to leave a very comfortable place and go to somewhere that had low achievement to help turn around the school. And so he's working really hard to build that. And Virginia is doing the same thing to build that back at Camp Road. So we're grateful for both of their work. And thank you for your comments.
Because it really, when you come in and say you tried something, you realized it didn't work, and you adjusted it, and then you went to weekly. I mean, that means so much more to me than these data-driven, subjective side of it. So I commend you. I definitely do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grabowski.
Ms. Roberson.
Yeah, thank you. So in the sake of time, Ms. Huggins, I agree with everything you just said. So I wanted to use my time to talk to Mr. Smith again. Can you tell me what the Bobcat Center looks like? And then two, one of the things, you said something that was very interesting to me, and I think it could help others. You said that you all were meeting and the information pretty much stayed in the room, and you realized that you had to get the information out. So I think that's something that could be shared with other schools, because you had the right idea, but it wasn't getting out to the fleet. And so that could be happening in other places, and that's something that could be shared, because MTSS, that's a heavy lift to try to navigate all the different parts and making sure that it gets out to all the different areas that it needs to get out to. So in the Bobcat Center, who staffs the Bobcat Centers? Do they go at lunchtime? Do they go throughout the day? What does that look like?
So I'm proud to tell you that that is actually in process, and let me explain. So that is actually one of the things that just happened about in our 2 weeks ago in our MTSS meeting, when we did I can see it in my brain, so I'm sorry, I won't, you obviously can't, but we basically were writing out what is happening, what's the root cause, and what are we going to do about it. So one of the things that we did, and I think it was talked about just a little while ago about making adjustments, we made some adjustments in our WSF funding. We dissolved one of our positions, and then we also used another position that we weren't, to bring on somebody who can provide more direct services to our scholars. And that person actually started today. And so that person, one of their roles is going to be to staff our Bobcat Center. So during lunch, what we're asking our scholars to do, and I'll just say that I know the high school's doing something similar, and it's kind of like the SLT that some high schools are doing, where you'll get your lunch and we need you to come back, and you're going to work on this over this course of time. And once we get you back to where you need to be,
Right.
then we can, allow you to go back to your normal work and things like that. But we don't have a lot of time for our scholars. There are a lot of other things that are going on, but I will tell you that I am proud of the fact that we both have a vision, but we also understand our circumstance, but we've created clearly defined processes for improvement.
Okay.
The other thing I will say is that we did notice, again, like I said, we did notice that there was that gap in us not having those conversations with our teachers. And one of the things we want to be mindful of is that they have planning periods, and we don't want to necessarily encumber too many of them. And so that's why it's bi-weekly for them, because we said one of them is going to be for them to have some conversation around professional development. That's different than their PLC, because they still will have that. But we also wanted to say, we just need to have a conversation with you about our scholars. Now, that's our circumstance and in our context, and different schools have to, of course, find ways to do that in their context. But this is what works for us, and so and hopefully we'll report back, and I will also give the parents an update in another video once the Bobcat Center really is off and running.
Great, thank you. I'm excited about what you're doing at Baptist Hill Middle, and look forward to an updated report on the Bobcat Center and other things that you're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Ms. Sayers.
Ms. Bailey?
I have two questions, but they both go together. One is, what are one or two of the strategies that the district has used to support MTSS in our schools, especially with the high schools? And the second one is, how do you cultivate a sense of belonging and self-management for students in the high schools? And what does that look like?
Sure, I can start just with those strategies to support MTSS at a district. So in addition to the launch of that data analytics platform, I think that was huge. All of this comes from direct feedback from working with our school teams and our school leaders. We do, for the past several summers, host and run our own internal professional development and training for all schools for their full MTSS school team. And we were able to collaborate again with CNI, data assessment accountability, and do a lot of pre-work with 90-day plans that set up for our future in the summer with the CES and into the strategic planning throughout the school year. So I think that, and then we keep that momentum going with those quarterly cohorts where those MTSS facilitators and team leads come and again, get to collaborate with other schools, hear from other coaches, other leaders, and use that data, that real-time SAM to make and monitor and make those adjustments in order to make those improvements directly in each of their schools. So that's some direct kind of supports for MTSS. And I think your other question was about the
high schools.
The high schools and sense of belonging. So we do, certainly, a lot of our schools are engaging in those restorative practice, those PBIS, those flex time type models. But I think a lot of, to me, is a lot of the voice and the choice and hearing directly from our students at that high school level. So similar, we use that data and that feedback so that they're able to course correct and create different clubs, create different opportunities for those students to be doing things that are connected to their interests in order to be college career readiness kind of citizens.
And I'll give you just two examples too from the field. One initiative that is very important, and I've received it, is the expectation that teachers are communicating positively home with students. And so students can and teachers can present and digitally send out positive referrals. And as a parent, it's been a blessing actually to receive one.
You got
I haven't received
a referral.
I did one positive, two negative, but the positive one means a lot. And so if every teacher does that with every student, it makes such a significant difference. And I want to thank Dr. Coakley and her team for really spearheading that, as well as to speak to the conversation that Mr. Smith was having about the Bobcat Center. I'll lift up Wando High School, for example. They recognized in their MTSS meetings, specifically with biology, that students in different phases of the learning experience weren't mastering specific skills. They coordinated amongst themselves with amazing leadership. I want to celebrate Mr. Coker and his team. They have specific lunch and learns for specific strands in this biology team. So the students go and get their lunch. They come to specific teachers. If I'm deficient in this particular strand, I'm going to see this teacher. And if I'm deficient in that strand, I'm going to that teacher. What that does in terms of a schools community is, while I may have a scheduled biology teacher, what I'm now having access to is the 6, 7, or 8 biology teachers that are now around the school. So now, instead of one science teacher, I know multiple science teachers. So it widens the snowflake, it widens the net of students trusted adults on campus, and we know that has an impact to their sense of belonging as well as their achievement.
Okay, my main point in asking that question is because I'm for the 1%. The 1% of our high school students, whether they be a junior or a senior or a sophomore or freshman, that don't have that sense of belonging and that they want to give up and they want to give in. And are we making sure that these students know that there's somebody behind them pushing them and that's rooting for them and their success? Because I've seen this personally myself. I've
Yes,
had
ma'am.
6 kids go through our high schools, and just going back and visiting some of these schools, and I watch everything that's moving, and you can tell the ones that that feel like they belong, and you can tell the ones that, oh my God, I can't wait for this day to get over so I can get up out of this place. I've watched that, and that's my concern for the 1%.
Yes, ma'am. And until it's 100%, we know we still have work ahead of us. And so this team before you today and our leaders that are working in our schools, they're committed to that effort.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions about the presentation?
No, can I, I would be remiss if I don't give a shout out to St. John's. They have lunch and learns, and I believe it started under Mr. Larson. So they have been using, this as an opportunity for years to get kids in, and lift up their MTSS program. So shout out to St. John's High School as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I have one
much.
question. I didn't get a
Oh.
chance. I just kind of had one chance on, when it comes to like the sense of belonging and, well, just mental health and emotional health in general. Are we discussing the, limiting, screen time and specifically the social media? I had a parent mentioned to me the other day that there are, a lot of us had been advocating about things, inappropriate for children to see and text, but then I had a parent in my business the other day who lives downtown that said that there's apparently a YouTube station that targets kids in the same sort of way. But then also we have a lot of negativity and fighting that goes on this and bullying that goes on social media. Are we addressing that in the scope of the sense of belonging and how screen time can be detrimental?
The use of screen time and specifically what you've responded about with associated with social media, that's a partnership amongst kids and adults and school faculty. So we believe that to be very serious. And so it starts with education. It starts with commitment. And even in my own home, it starts with regulation. So we work with parents and we remind them, you can turn the internet off in your home. You can turn the screen time off on your phone or your device that you may own. So we believe that to be very important as well, and that's a partnership. And it'll continue to be a responsibility for us all to be sure we're monitoring that very effectively.
Did the principals want to weigh in on that at all?
I think it's important to acknowledge that that is a topic and social media is a topic that is on the forefront for all of us as principals. And it's something that I know I can only speak directly to my school for direct actions, but with our School Improvement Council, we just recently launched a series with parents where we're helping parents and students to become literate on some of the things that Mr. Clamp just spoke about in terms of being able to turn off the internet, having appropriate usage of screen time. There are lots of programs that are in place through CCSD, such as Land School, that we use across the district to monitor student screen time. And then we have some of the best teaching practices across CCSD that are utilizing technology for ways that are enhancing and not just substituting. So we're not using technology to substitute the teacher in the classroom, but rather we're using it to enhance what we're doing in the classrooms, and certainly on the forefront with AI and social media and all of those components that are playing a role, especially for us in the middle schools. We're trying to stay ahead of it as much as we can by parent engagement and engagement and open conversations with our students and parents. And Ms. Bailey, I do just want to say, as being from Stahl formerly, so speaking just for a moment on high school and sense of belonging, a big step in the right direction is being able to identify our students. If our students are self-selecting as needing a higher sense of belonging or ranking low in well-being, with this panorama survey, we're able to see how they answer questions and we're able to pull those students. So just like we're pulling them for academics and behavior and attendance, sometimes just that connection for that 1% can make such a huge difference. And I just think, you know, especially in middle school and in high school, we can be so quiet about how we feel and go through the motions and fly under the radar. And Panorama has helped us so that those students aren't just flying under the radar, but we're able to target them and provide them with support and provide them with someone to make a connection with. So I do believe that we're going to see a big increase in sense of belonging in the secondary. And I think that's how we're going to do it, is making those connections, because we had already started that at Stall in the years that I was there. So I know they're continuing that now.
Thank you.
I have one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I had, can the information on the I was concerned that the data is grouped by the grades 6 through 12. I assume the schools, you can see
Yeah,
your
that's
own.
reported at the district level, but every school can break it down by grade
Okay.
level.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Lieber or Ms. Jewett, any questions? Thank you, Dr. Clamp, and thank you all.
I do have some follow-up questions, but is there any way I can email them?
Sure, yes, ma'am. You can send those to us and we'll have staff respond.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. I will remind everyone that we will move on to item 6. We will make a motion. We will have staff present, and then we will have a vote. So item 6A, is there a motion to approve the prioritized list of projects under the fixed cost of ownership fiscal year 27 project list as submitted?
I move.
Moved by Ms. Watley. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bailey. All right, then we will go to Mr. Barowie and Mr. Prentice for explanation and questions.
Since we did the full presentation at Audit and Finance, I would just.
Thank you.
So as all of you know, fixed cost of ownership is for the replacement improvements of equipment and facilities across the district. We're broken up into program areas between operations and finance. And we proposed a budget for y'all to approve this evening, slightly above last year's budget. We've got some increases in school safety systems, facility management, by increasing the number of projects at individual schools. And we've got an increase in the software program for IT. We did have one less project this year, one-time project, that's for the St. John's Culinary Arts Program. We did phase 1 this year. We have phase 2 worked into the FM budget. Subject to your questions, that concludes the overview.
Any follow-up questions? Then we will call for the vote. The motion being to approve the prioritized list of projects under the fixed cost of ownership fiscal year 27 list as submitted. All in favor, please raise your hand. Ms. Lieber or Ms. Jewett?
Nay.
Pardon me?
Nay.
Nay, nay. Ms. Lieber?
And I abstain.
I'm sorry.
You abstained.
I abstain.
Thank you. So we have, Dr. Temple, how?
7.
Okay. So we have 7 yays, 1 nay, and 1 abstain. Okay. We will move on to item 7B. Is there a motion to approve the fixed cost of ownership fiscal year 26 budget reallocation as submitted?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Watley. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bailey. Again, so is Mr. Hamer going to speak to this, or Mr. Barowie or Mr. Prentice?
He is on, Mr. Hamer is on the line. He
Yeah.
wants to cover a quick summary. Mr. Hamer?
he dropped off.
We did have him at the very beginning. Okay. Mr. Hamer, would you like to address these reallocations?
I'll go ahead.
All right, Mr. Roy, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a very simple reallocation.
Yes.
I mentioned the St. John's Culinary Arts Project. We weren't able to execute phase 2 this year, so we'll complete executing phase 1. We'll move the remaining funds to other projects. Those other projects next year will cover the second phase of the St. John's Culinary Arts Project.
Are there questions about the reallocation? Then we will call for the vote. The motion to approve the fixed cost of ownership fiscal year 26 budget reallocation as submitted. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye, this is Michelle.
Aye, Ms. Lieber and Ms. Jewett.
Aye.
Okay. So the motion passes unanimously. We will move on to item 7A. Is there a motion to convene an executive session to consider an out-of-county transfer request?
So move.
Moved by Dr. Temple. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Watley. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Maggie. Thank you. Okay, that's fine. We've got quorum. Whoa. Is there a motion to reconvene into open session?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Roberson. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Bailey. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will move on to item 10A. I move that we decline the request. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Watley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Then the motion passes. We will move on to item 11A. Is there a motion to approve policy IKE, promotion, retention, and acceleration of students for first reading?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Grabowski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Roberson. Ms. Thompson, would you like to address this? And then we'll see if there are any questions.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. After we presented this set of policies at the COW, there were changes that were made to IKE and IEA. So the changes that were made to IKE, at the bottom, you'll see we added a reference to the acceleration of students. So our policy used the administrative rule portion to talk more specifically about the acceleration of students. And we wanted to be sure that that was clear, that the information about potentially moving ahead of grades or some things like that is included, but it's in the rule. So we wanted to be sure that there was a clear reference made there. So that's lines 99 through 104 that were added between the COW and tonight. And then in addition, there was some clarification made up above in lines 81 through 84. And there was, our team had suggested language directly from the state statute regarding Read to Succeed, but it was a little bumpy. And so we made a change there. There was a reference from the state statute for a norm referenced assessment adopted by the board, which was referring to the State Board of Education. And so we simplified that language just to read a state-approved assessment for use in summer reading camps. And that was a change that also occurred between the COW and tonight. So I just wanted to point that out and make sure that you were aware of that update.
We appreciate that. We appreciate the numbering and the red lines. Are there questions about the policy as it is now?
I think it's good.
So, no questions, then the motion is to approve policy IKE for promotion, retention, and acceleration of students grades K through 8 as a first reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Jewett, are you voting?
Yay.
Yay? So the motion is
Yes.
unanimous. On to item 11B. Is there a motion to consider the repeal of policy IEA?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Temple. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Grabowski. Ms. Thompson.
Yes, ma'am. In policy IEA, when we brought it to the COW, we were focusing on the student-teacher ratio number there. And we were originally amending that to read, as opposed to a 15-to-1 in the first grade ratio, we were amending it to be a 20-to-1. And then when we got to looking after the discussion that you all had here, we realized that while CCSD will continue and has prioritized small class sizes that are smaller than the state mandated ratios,
the funding that was associated with this particular statute that's listed here at SC code 596365 that you see there at the bottom, that particular source of funding does not exist any longer. We double checked that. And so while in that law, when it was written, required that if you wanted to have extra funding for reduced class sizes, you had to have a policy to say so. And now that the funding stream is gone, there's no real correlation to having that policy at this point, even though Charleston County School District still maintains that commitment to lower class sizes than the state mandate. There just wasn't a corresponding reason to leave the policy on the books now that the funding source no longer exists.
Any questions? I think this answers a question that came up last time. So we will call for the vote. The motion is that the board is being asked to consider the repeal of policy IEA. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then it's unanimous. We will move on to item 12A, which is the Peninsula Project attendance line adjustments.
Thank you, Ms. McKinney. Ms. Studer and Captain Brower are going to take lead of most of this presentation. I want to thank them publicly for their hard work over the course of the last couple of weeks, specifically in regards to zoning and working with constituents to understand and hear their needs. The first slide, Maggie, on this presentation.
The link isn't working for me. I don't know
Hmm.
about anybody else.
Maggie, you'll pull it up for us, Dr. Temple. It's working for me, but
It's there.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Dr. Temple. So I'm going to quickly overview the Peninsula Promise in its entirety. Again, really quickly, we talked about this last month. And so the Peninsula Promise includes a K-12 look at services that we offer on the peninsula holistically. As we've worked with the community, we've often said that constituents say to us, well, you need to fix Simmons Pinckney, you need to fix Burke, you need to fix this, you need to fix that. And we don't suggest that anything is necessarily broken, but when we look at the peninsula as a whole, we want to make sure that we're offering a continuum of services, K-12, to serve the needs of those students, all students, those that are attending their neighborhood schools and those that aren't. And so our efforts to do that start here, specifically with universal pre-K for not only 4-year-olds, but also for 3-year-olds in August 2026 at Charleston Progressive. We believe, given the density of the peninsula and what we know about national best practice around early childhood education, that situating all students, again, given the density of this area, into one environment over with Mrs. Sheets at CPA will best serve their needs. And so in August, 3s and 4s will attend, except for the 3s and 4s receiving Montessori education at James Simmons, and a group of special and one class of 4s at Sanders, Clyde, and Imminger. 3s and 4s will be at CPA. The second thing we're doing to offer support to families on the peninsula is opening a family learning and resource center at Burke High School. Trident Tech has agreed to partner with us to offer workforce credentials, educational opportunities for parents. We'll also be offering some social emotional services, social workers, wraparound supports, in addition to just generalized parenting classes to help support parents and their families as they work to educate their children and support their children's educational opportunities. Then we are going to transition students from Mitchell. The enrollment there is less than 150. It's declined over time and continues to decline. To, we're going to disperse them to schools on the peninsula that are achieving at higher levels. And we're going to transition Simmons Pinckney students to the Mitchell building to be able to offer a comprehensive middle school on the peninsula. We're going to expand career and technical opportunity exposure and arts exposure through the Leonard McLeod Cultural Arts Collective beginning in the middle schools. Many of our elementary schools on the peninsula are already incorporating arts education. You know that is the theme over at Sanders Clyde with Mrs. Malone, which is now rated a good school. Mr. Antonelli is also embedding that into the work at Memminger. And so we want to expose students early on in middle school to these opportunities, giving them the chance to explore this each quarter through different experiences. And then at Burke, we're going to expand career and technical offerings to include courses perhaps as we work with families and students, barbering, but also expanding trade opportunities through the American College of Building Arts and our work with General Broadwater and his team. We're also relaunching the Scholars Academy through a dedicated support from the College of Charleston. They've dedicated 30 seats to Burke, which has not happened in the past. We're really pleased with President Shu and his team. I met with them in person, and they're thrilled to be able to partner with us in this effort. And then again, we're expanding arts opportunity through artist in residence experiences and additional art FTEs through the Leonard McLeod Cultural Arts Collective at Burke High School. So comprehensively, we believe the K-12 initiative will serve students well, and it will attract students back to their neighborhood schools and maintain those that are currently in them and serve them through advanced additional opportunities. So as part of that, it does involve transitioning students from the Mitchell campus to other elementary schools. And Mr. Broy is going to talk a little bit about that and offering a comprehensive middle school experience on the Mitchell campus. So Mr. Broy, we'll go on to slide number 2, Maggie.
Thank you. So this is a big move over to the Mitchell campus, and so we wanted to have a couple of slides to assure the board that we are on track. We've had a number of meetings with community members to talk about the impact of the Mitchell campus on their area and where they live. We've also talked with folks in the school and coming into the school from Simmons Pinckney about what we want to do there. First off, there's plenty of capacity at Mitchell for Simmons Pinckney. It gives us a lot of opportunity to create space for that school, to incorporate the programs that Superintendent Huggins mentioned a few seconds earlier. The biggest thing I wanted to point out is even though that building presents as 100 years old, the U.S. Capitol is also much older than that. The inside of the building was restored in 2021, $11.5 million to be exact. All of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems have been replaced, flooring, painting, ceilings, new classroom furniture. It really is a fine facility on the inside. And eventually, if we build a new middle school downtown, it can be brought back to an elementary school to cover potential capacity with projects that are in the future for downtown Charleston. Transportation and foot traffic in and around Mitchell, that was one of the concerns about the community. There is a difference between elementary school and middle school. We have more bus riders in the middle school, so there'll be less kids walking the streets of Charleston because we are picking up from around the peninsula for middle school where Mitchell was close in. And so we'll have less kids walking to and from school, and we actually have less car riders as well. So traffic is very constrained on the Mitchell campus, but we believe that it will not be. In fact, it will be better than it was before. And at one point, there was nearly 400 students at Mitchell, and that's just 6 or 7 years ago. I did want to go back to cover the green space in the gym. I skipped over that. They are short a gym, but they are short a gym now at Simmons Pinckney. They do use Burke on occasion, but they do not have any green space. In talking with the elementary school principal, most of their PE classes are outside anyways, and we hope that we'll have the middle school doing the same in this huge park across the street. We are going to partner with the city of Charleston. They've already expressed interest in making improvements in that park for the benefit of the community and the school, and we look forward to participating in that process. I'm going to go ahead and move it over to Heather with zoning. This is what will be the board decision. Tonight is just for information. We have had 2 community meetings to talk about zoning. We've had 1 meeting with the staff and the parents of Mitchell Elementary School. We had 1 daytime drop-in for parents as well when they were there for a program. We've got 1 more meeting with them next week. So we'll come back to you all in 2 weeks with a recommendation for zoning. So it'll give you a chance to absorb the information, take public comments, and listen to what Ms. Studer's done with this portion of the project.
Madam Chairman, at a point of order, I got a serious question that hasn't been addressed. Under what authority are you coming to the board asking a zoning question when it was a constituent board? We have the final appeal right. I know it's governance control, but are we going to have to go back and at some point adjust our
Policy's been.
policy?
Yes, sir. The policy has been adjusted.
It's already been, so we
Okay.
so we adjusted.
And to correct it.
No,
Never mind.
no, you're good.
Just so that the public knows, we do read the policy.
We adjusted all the policies when the, when the,
over all.
Yeah, that was. part
you,
of it.
you did, yes, sir. The statute also gives you the authority per Mrs. Paler.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Ms. Studer.
Thanks. Okay, so we take a lot of things into consideration when we look at redrawing attendance lines, including historical and projected enrollment. We look at the capacity of the buildings, which Jeff spoke about. We look at the live and attend report, which captures the students' 45-day enrollment and where those students live. And we're able to see how many students are living and attending their neighborhood school and how many are going outside of their neighborhood school. We take in a lot of community feedback, an extra lot this last couple weeks. We look at residential developments. We work with the city and different municipalities, but in this case, the city of Charleston. And we typically don't see a lot of students coming from the high-end developments that are being developed downtown. But with the mayor's affordable housing plan and the Peninsula Promise and the gains that we're already seeing in our schools, we're hoping that we will attract more students downtown and more students will go to our schools. We look at a number of other things, including the demographics and socioeconomic impact on our schools and students and the impact of magnet programs and school choice on enrollment. Okay, next slide. This map on the right shows the current zones downtown right now. The green is Sanders Clyde. The pink is James Simmons / Mitchell. Mitchell is the traditional option for James Simmons. And then the blue is Meminger. To the left, the chart on the left shows the capacity of the buildings and historical and projected enrollment. You can see that in 2019, 2020, we had about 1,800 students in our elementary schools, with the exception of Buste. And now we have around 1,500. So we've been declining in enrollment for a while. And you can see that the capacity is about 2,500. So we have space for almost 1,000 students. And out of the 1,500 that are currently attending, about 500 of those do not live downtown. So we're going to go over some options tonight, but all of these facts listed here are consistent with every single option. The current options that we're presenting will not go into effect until the following school year, except for the Mitchell families. And then they will go into effect in the 2027-2028 school year. So all students currently enrolled at Charleston Progressive, Sanders Clyde, Memminger, and James Simmons may continue to attend that school as long as they want until the grade span ends. It's our goal that all Mitchell students who live on the peninsula are able to attend their preference school, and we're working through that with families now. The extended school choice window will open for them March 1st through 31st, and we will be working with them to get that paperwork done as well. And early learning programs will be consolidated at CPA, which was already discussed, and school choice will still be an option for families downtown. Okay, this is option one. On the right side, the map shows what the option would look like if it were to be implemented. This option shows a reduction in James Simmons zone, and the traditional option would now be Sanders Clyde. And it shows an increase in the Memminger zone around the Gadsden Green area on the left side. And then it shows an increase in Sanders Clyde's attendance zone around Mitchell on the north side of James Simmons' current zone and down by near Memminger or CPA. And this outlines like each individual area and like what it would be. The background right now is the current zone. So the yellow line shows the cutout of what it would be. And because we're going to let students from Mitchell preference in the first year, we're expecting 30 to 60 students regardless additional at James Simmons for next year. And we don't think we'll have an increase of that many students each year. It'll kind of flatten over time. So their projected enrollment right now is 392, and we're expecting it to be between 422 and 452. And their building capacity is right at 455. Okay, so this would be the new Memminger zone. You can see the little pink area on the top left. That is the Gadsden Green area and West Edge, where development is going to be taking place there. And Memminger is our smallest zone with the smallest amount of students right now. So part of this was to make sure that we captured more students in the Memminger zone. Same situation here, 30 to 60 additional students in the first year, upping their overall enrollment to about 423 next year. And because they take choice students, they're going to be able to manage that over time. This is the Sanders Clyde option, and we're expecting about 20 to 30 students in the first year. And we're actually anticipating that to increase over time because the zone is going to be larger and there is more development. And that would increase their enrollment 287 to about 315 in the first year. And we're anticipating there to be some room in the building to leave space for potential growth. All right, option two is a much smaller James Simmons zone, if you can tell by the pink area. So we reduced it a significant amount in this option. Memminger is it's the same as the first one, and Sanders is larger in this one. And it goes up to Hampton Park, so this would exclude some of Wagner Terrace. And we anticipate the same number of students in the first year to play out in all options. And the streets are outlined on the map, and we've shared that with the community and talked a lot about where they live and how they would be impacted. This would result in more students choicing in to James Simmons on the peninsula because of the zone being significantly smaller. Next. Okay, Memminger, same situation here, same zone. Go next. And Sanders Clyde would be a much larger zone, and we would anticipate an increase in enrollment there, which they can manage because they have significant capacity. All right, option three is different, and that extends all the way to the neck, the James Simmons zone, James Simmons / Sanders zone. And We thought about this because there is a larger development in that area, Magnolia Landing, and there's also one on the Sanders side, Union Pier. So we were thinking long-term about being able to capture larger developments in either zone. And Memminger's zone increases a tiny bit, one street up, but doesn't do much for as far as enrollment. And you can see the specific outline here in yellow. And Memminger goes up to Congress instead of Fishburne on that one. Okay, and that's Sanders, what it would look like in option 3. So after presenting these, we got substantial feedback about walkability, which we knew was going to be an issue because these schools are all within 1.5 miles of each other. So they're all fairly walkable already. And the goal was that we have to reduce James Simmons zone and we have to increase Sanders, Clyde, and Memminger. So in order to do that, you're not going to make everyone happy when you do that. But we took the feedback and we tried to listen to everybody. And I think, we captured a lot of what was asked. So in this option, we, and you heard some folks talking about that this evening, but we included the north central area, which is just north of James Simmons. And it also is some of the area that's closest to Sanders Clyde. And in this option, it goes up to Mount Pleasant Street and is straight across the bottom on Congress Street. Similar setup for Memminger. And then Sanders Clyde would be Mount Pleasant Street up. So then we got more feedback. And there is a portion north of Mount Pleasant Street that is Sunnyside Avenue, and it's actually Alta Vista neighborhood, but is largely considered to be part of the Wagner Terrace area. And because there's a larger commercial area north of that and the Rifle Club, we did add that street and the couple streets to the right of that back in, so that they wouldn't feel isolated. And then on the south side, we included some of the west side neighborhood, the most walkable area to James Simmons. And that cuts off at Fishburne. You'll see it in the next one. And you can see that it cuts down at Fishburne and Harriet Street at the top. And just above that would be the Magnolia Landing development, which would be zoned for Sanders Clyde. This is the Memminger slide, and it just increases to Congress Street and would encompass the West Edge developments that are upcoming in the next few years. And this would be Sanders Clyde's new zone if this was implemented. And it increases at Harriet Street and in the same way down by CPA, Charleston Progressive Academy. And at Congress and President Street is on the left side. Okay, and I think Jeff went over a lot of the next steps already, but we'll take questions.
This may take a lot of homework and studying before there are questions, but if there are questions this evening, Mr. Grabowski.
It's a lot of information, yeah.
Yeah, situated on, the option 4 and 5, and really all the options. So you mentioned the Rifle Club, so now we're talking the Bridge to Nowhere and that large, very large piece of property that's going apparently to be developed. So how are we are we taking that into account? Mr. Barori.
We are taking into account all of the development. We meet with the city regularly, actually twice in the last week, to talk about the development. And there will be some affordable housing in that area too. But there also will be some high-end homes in that area as well.
So we're looking into just saying high-end loans don't have kids?
Generally, yes,
Mm.
that's true.
So the high-end homes we've seen downtown haven't generated students in our school district, the ones that have been developed so far in the city of Charleston. So we have to be very cautious with managing that. Heather does a pretty thorough job of looking at the price points for all of these units to see what might be coming in. And of the big units that are and I say potentially coming, we all think they are, but I know board members, you've heard me tell the story about Long Savannah before, that the day I got here, I was to build a school up there and it hadn't happened yet. So 12 years in coming. So we've got to be very cautious with leaving totally empty schools around the district. So this concept of moving the middle school over and then eventually down the road, if all this development occurs, building another middle school frees up Mitchell to cover
Correct.
the extra capacity. But where we think the larger developments are, they're either in Sanders Clyde, where we have capacity, and Meminger on the west edge, where we have capacity at Meminger. So we've tried to take that into account to the extent we can.
Because it's like the Coast Guard. Coast Guard was 5,000, 6,000, and now it's what? Maybe 1,000, if that. So, it's always amazing, and my hat's off to you. I mean, and I'm glad that the community is putting in so much, input into
Yeah.
saying how this, because I think that's how it should be driven. But I just want to make sure we're not getting ourselves into a situation where suddenly, I don't know. I mean, when I look at those plans and how many houses they got planned, that's a lot. But to rely on affordable versus, high end, who knows? Okay. Yeah, good point.
Other questions, Ms. Roberson?
Yeah, I want to follow up on what Mr. Kabrowski is saying. So you said on the first slide or the second slide that the FY 27 to 30th enrollment projections were not updated. And I guess my question is why?
So we updated, FY 27 is updated, but without the peninsula changes. So
Right,
once they're
without-
implemented, we'll update the future years. Yeah, FY 27 to FY 30.
So
So the 26 project.
the 26 is in there, 27 to 30 is not.
Yeah, so FY 26 is the current year.
Mhm.
So FY 27 is what we projected 2 months ago before these changes were going to go into place. So we will have to make changes to next year based on the preferences of the Mitchell families.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next question, the preferences of the Mitchell families. This is a lot to process. Ms. Huggins, can we talk more about the Mitchell family's first preference and what does that look like?
That's really, I'm going to let Ms. Studer speak to that. Go
Okay.
ahead, Ms. Studer.
Okay, so we, instead of rezoning them this late in the year, we found out that with the number of students that actually live downtown and are attending Mitchell, that we could probably give them their first choice preference in school downtown. So we're working with the families to figure out where they want to go and implementing the choice window process. And we're confident that we'll be able to serve all of them in the schools downtown.
Okay. So all 190 families.
It's about 110 that actually live downtown that aren't in 5th grade, that aren't 3K going to a 4K. So it does shrink a good bit.
Okay. I think I have another. My concern is those families. I am happy that the parents that came out from the other communities, that they are able to keep up and they are able to advocate and ask for those things, and you were able to give them another option so that they're happy with it. I think for me, I really want to follow the Mitchell families. I'm concerned that something like this, it feels like Lincoln High School, and I want to make sure that we do right by those families and that they are happy and satisfied, just like the other parents with their options. And so my questions between now and when we decide on what option and for the attendance line, it's going to be geared more towards those families to make sure that throughout this process, that they have all the information and that we support them just as much as we support the families that are able to articulate their concerns.
We definitely understand, and we have been having a big outreach to those families. We were there yesterday for a performance and waited and talked to families. We actually have over 100 respondents to the survey that we did send out so far. So the principal there is certain that we'll be able to reach all of them within the next couple weeks.
So I'm not, in response to that, I just want to say, again, I've been around a long time and supported Nancy McGinley's closure of 4 or 5 schools. I've done this a lot. I've never known a team to go out and individually ask families where they want to go and give them that option. And every option on the peninsula, I'm confident in the educational opportunities they're being offered. So we feel really good about our outreach efforts, and we believe that kids will excel in their new environments. So we'll continue to do that.
I'm concerned.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
Ms. Roberson, were you?
I'm out of time out yet.
2 minutes will start.
I'm concerned, as going back to Ms. Roberson just said about the Lincoln situation. I was around during that time, and I can see that you're making a valid effort, or at least trying to make a valid effort to keep up with those families. In the Lincoln situation, as was described, what happened was there was a massive transfer, and as they moved from Lincoln to Wando High School, and remember, they were working on internet on the bus. The kids weren't getting the homework. The travel time was 2 hours. They were falling behind, and all in the paperwork of that, we never knew what really happened to those children once they transitioned out of Wando High School. We never got a progress report. We never knew what their success. So I think what Ms. Robertson is saying, as I chatted with her recently, the kids making that transition from Mitchell, as you said, is they're not meeting the mark. What resources are we going to put with them to make sure that we track them and they're making the grade? That's all.
So my job as a superintendent of this district is always just to be completely honest. So I don't want to be. But yes, sir, we know where every Lincoln student was. We presented annual reports to the constituent board, and I can provide those if needed. Our plan to provide support to the families at Mitchell is solid. Ms. Studer and Mr. Prentice have worked together to make sure extra allocations are where they're needed to be. We're working with Ms. Allison's team to provide wraparound supports. We're opening a family education center in collaboration with Trident Technical College to bring work-based certifications to parents and families. We're working with Barbara DeLagarde, who led very successfully the D20 PCP for family supports. These children will be going to a good rated school in Sanders Clyde, what is soon to be believed to be a good school in Meminger, a good school in James Simmons. They're in an unsatisfactory school now that's under-resourced. My job's to serve kids. That's what we're doing.
Any other questions, Dr. Temple?
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, because the options 4 and 5, especially 5, has just emerged, is there any effort to go back out into the community? I did attend one of the big community meetings, and then I sat in partially on the one that was held at Mitchell. So is there any effort to for community people to come and see that they've 4 and 5, because those 2 options have emerged since the meetings. So I don't know if there's any effort. I'd like to recommend that there be, an effort. I mean, some people have a lot of access to computers and we were getting we got a lot of emails. And so everybody, first we got a lot like 4, 4, 4. And then when 5 came out, I did send emails to people saying, well, there's a new one, 5, take a look. But if people weren't communicating with us, how would they know? So I guess I'm thinking maybe we need another community meeting so that people can see these 2 new plans.
So there's 2 things going on right now. One is we are communicating with the parents. So before the board meeting was canceled on Monday, an email was sent out to all the families explaining where the process was, offered the link on where the new options could be found. So we got word out to our families. Heather has gone back to numerous community members because we don't have their contacts within our database, but she has received emails from them and has gone back to them with the additional options, especially the community groups that have then access to the people in their community to get that word out.
And then my second question is, with the families who are at Mitchell, if they choose to go to James Simmons is a Montessori program. So how are we going to help the children? I mean, if there's a 5th grader and they want to go to James Simmons and that's a Montessori program, how are we going to help the children who choose that? Because that's going to be a new option that they didn't have before.
So
How do we help them?
So as you know, because, and I want to thank you for attending this morning's community meeting on the peninsula. We're working on that now. We're working with Beth Dillon-Coffer, the principal at James Simmons, to plan for not only how to support families who might want to transition after a child entered at kindergarten or not, as well as teachers, because it'll be a challenge for teachers as well if kids haven't necessarily come up through the Montessori system and they're opting into that now. So we're planning for those things right now with our internal team. So we plan to provide some professional development and supports for kids and families.
And then my final question is I'm just looking at option 5 right now. I hope we're working, one of the beauties that I heard about the James Simmons community is this walkability, the sense of community. So are we working with the city so that the Sanders Clyde area and the Memminger area, that those become walkable communities?
We certainly are. Our first approach with them is to work on what's happening around Mitchell to make sure we've got the accommodations there. The second topic with them is to make sure that we understand the developments that are occurring downtown, and we can certainly look at other areas of walkability. The one thing that's different, correct me if I'm wrong, that James Simmons there isn't a they're not crossing a huge road to get to there is more walkability by James Simmons just because of the nature of the streets around there. Nothing the city can do to change 26 coming through the city at this point. So there's probably not a whole lot from that perspective, but we'll certainly reach out to them to see what the school needs to bring more kids into their schools through a walkability process. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other, Mr. Grabowski?
So, and we also have Buist. I mean, do we even talk about Buist and the options for Buist? Or are we just going to not talk about Buist?
We were looking at schools with an actual zone, and Buist does not have a zone, so they were not included in this analysis.
It's a magnet program. So that's a county-wide magnet. It doesn't have a zone.
But we're looking long-term. And we're looking buildings. And we're looking at costs of building and everything. I mean, I don't see how you cannot consider that's one of our buildings, one of our school programs.
So,
yes, it is a magnet. I will give you that.
Yes, sir.
But when you're looking at what could be happening downtown, and we just don't know.
We don't, but right now we have ample capacity. Again, we have 1,500 elementary age kids and 6 elementary programs. So we have ample capacity right now, Mr. Brewery, to house The students on the peninsula, all for universal pre-K and more. And if the time comes, let's just say when the time comes that there's more housing and there are more kids, we can transition Mitchell back into an elementary school and with the potential of building a middle school. That's in our thought processes and in our future planning. But we're working very, very closely with Mayor Cogswell's office and that team to make sure that we're not getting ahead of our skis.
I mean, and I think it's great, because we have the new college, we have Burke. I mean, we have great high school facilities. So, the feeder patterns and everything are there. But it's just, when you're looking long term and not playing checkers, I just think it's something you need to hold back on and think of. Anyway.
So I'm most concerned right now, Mr. Grabowski, about getting the students who actually live on the peninsula in a neighborhood school. They're going to private schools, they're going to charter schools, and they're going to schools outside of their zone. For whatever reason, I'm not here to judge parents. I've got 3 kids of my own. My husband and I want to do the best by our kids. I don't fault any parent for that. My job is to make every school on the peninsula a place I would send Jenna, Asher, or Emmy. And that's what the Peninsula Promise is.
Other questions for the moment? This is why it's information tonight. It's a lot to study before we vote. Any other questions now? Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Ms. Huggins?
Yes, ma'am.
I may have missed this bit of information, but,
I'm sure you didn't.
well, I don't know. What are the next steps?
So the next steps would be for you to take time over the next 2 weeks to study these options, to consult with the staff. We'll set up some time next week that if trustees want to come in, meet with us, engage with us around this to do so. And I know some of you have jobs that are preventative from meeting with us during working quote unquote hours, so we could meet with you before or after so that you're ready to take a vote at the first meeting in the special called meeting in March so that we can move forward and appropriately notify families and start the transition plan and make sure we have all the resources in place.
Isn't, next week audit and finance? I would like to.
Next
that would be
Wednesday
good.
is audit and finance, and if
Yeah.
you ask that, for the
Yeah.
public's sake, we've transitioned that meeting to 8 a.m. because of some other challenges we have here internally. But then the committee of the whole meeting, I believe, is on Monday, March the 9th. And we were going to ask the board officers for a special call for the purpose of voting on this, because delaying to right at the end of March, right before spring break, really puts us behind the 8 ball in
Mhm.
regards to talking to families and making sure schools are appropriately resourced. Mr. Brigman's in the process of hiring right now, and these schools are earning some additional allocations. And so we want to make sure that we're set up ready for kids that come August.
I would like to maybe next week, sit and chat
Absolutely.
with you about it. And because we've heard a lot, from the community about option
Yeah.
4 and 5, so.
Option 4
I
and
want to
5.
make sure
yes.
that I, serve well. so.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Ms. Hug-
Yes, ma'am,
can
Ms.
I-
Roberson.
Will we be able to maybe ride around these areas to see what they're talking about?
We certainly could host that. I'm sure Mr. Broy would be glad to, as long as I don't drive, right, Mr. Broy? Right, Mr. Douglas?
And some of them are easier to walk than to
Yeah,
run
the
a-
density of
because
the
of the
penin-
one-way streets.
And the density of the peninsula is what makes this somewhat unique. As Mr. Hollenshed alluded to earlier, in reference to, Lincoln, we're not talking here about busing kids an hour one way and out, and 2 hours. This is a fairly close proximity, which still, it's not easy when the school you've gone to for 3 years, you're going to be asked to go somewhere else. But again, we're ready to and poised to support kids through that and families.
What is the most obvious difference between option 4 and 5?
Ms. Studer?
That's how I
Yeah.
was gonna ask the same.
Ms. Studer?
So in option 5, it encompasses Sunnyside Avenue, which is just north of Mount Pleasant Street. And that is widely considered part of Wagner Terrace. So to not exclude them from the Wagner Terrace group. And on the south side, it encompasses some of the West Side neighborhood, the most walkable portion of the West Side neighborhood through Fishburne Street.
And you said that's option 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And option 4, eliminate, it does not have those.
Yeah, those are the
Okay.
two parts.
Okay, last
Did you-
question.
yes, ma'am.
Just because of that, when you look at those, different options, does it change, the demographics and makeup?
Yes, ma'am. And there is a slide. I don't know if Maggie can pull it up.
It's in the backups in your package.
It's,
So
okay,
there's a demographic slide that shows current,
okay,
the different options in the who's actually in the schools. So you got the demographics of the zone and you have demographics of the schools as they
okay.
stand.
Which are really
I'll go to it.
different.
So we were trying to avoid a look of segregation.
We always do our best to balance the demographics.
Okay. All right, I'll go and look at it in detail.
That's gonna be a hard one to balance in the long run.
Any other questions?
Yeah. We. Okay.
Thank you. Bless you. All right, then we will move on to the next item in other business, 12B.
Nice job, Ms. Davis.
Is there a nominee for District 7?
Madam Chair, yes, ma'am. Are we calling our nominees by name?
I think we did last time.
Ms. Huggins?
Mr. Frampton will answer you.
Oh, Mr. Frank,
Last time you elected
Right.
trustees.
we did
The
call them
first
by
one.
name?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my nominee for District 7 changed fairly rapidly, but as it stands right now, I have the great honor and privilege to nominate Ms. Julie Arms, our current clerk of court, for District 7.
Nominees do not need a second.
They do require a second.
Oh, the nominees do?
Mm-mm.
No debate, but there's a
We didn't do that last time.
I know. Okay,
Mm-mm. We did not.
nominees except, if there's a nominating committee, the committee's nomination does not require a second, but nominations require a second.
I second.
Oh,
We didn't do
sorry.
that last
Second.
time.
He said it requires a second,
A
but no
committee making
debate.
a nomination does not require a second because it's a committee action. However, an individual nomination would require a second.
So I second your
Okay.
nominee. And what we will ask is for hand votes and for this nominee.
No.
Yes.
The nominee.
Did we receive this nominee's resume?
Yes.
It's in the board packet.
Okay.
Mr. Grabowski, if you didn't hear us, Ms. Watling nominated for District 7, Julie Armstrong, and I made the second.
I vote yay.
Okay,
Oh, we call for
we'll do a
questions?
hand
Oh,
so that we have a.
I don't know how to do a hand.
Um,
Nay.
You may just, so,
When do we ask questions?
Mr. Frampton, there's no discussion.
I'm a yes.
There's a second, but not discussion. All right, so. One, two, three, four, five, six. And Ms. Jewett, you said yay? Or,
I don't.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh,
I am a nay. No.
no for Ms. Jewett.
No
Mr.
for Ms.
Hollenshed,
Jewett.
or you know?
Mr. Hollenshed, you know.
I'm sorry, what is your? I'm sorry, what is your? And Ms. Jewett?
No.
Ms. Jewett said nay. Ms. Lieber?
Nay.
Ms. Jewett said nay. Ms. Lieber?
Yay.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Okay.
8
So,
yay and
Yay.
1 nay. And the. Ms. Williams? Yeah. And for the minutes, Ms. Jewett. All right. Is there,
Madam Chair,
yes,
when
ma'am.
can I ask a general question about this process?
Well, I guess now appropriate.
Thank you. Who verifies the addresses that these nominees live in the constituent districts? Because on this and others, there's not addresses.
We verified them through the foundation team and checked tax records.
Okay. Thank you.
For asking, certainly. Is there a District 9 nominee?
Yes, ma'am. I am nominating Taryn Williams. You all have her resume, and she is currently president of the James Island Elementary School PTA.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Roberson. All those in favor, please raise your hand or vocal.
Michelle said yes. Michelle said yes.
Okay. So that vote
So
is
that vote
unanimous.
is unanimous. I can finish the coffee. Okay.
Is there a nominee for District 8?
Yes, I nominate Dr. Brian McClure.
Thank you. Ms. Roberson nominates Mr. Hollenshed second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And Ms. Lieber, how are you voting?
Nay on this.
And the nominee does not pass.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to nominate for District 8.
Madam Chairman,
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, Ms. Watley has been recognized.
I would like to nominate Michelle Faust for District 8, and I have her resume here.
Madam Chairman.
Excuse me, Ms. Roberson has been asked to be recognized.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
I know that it's been sent out that this is according to the bylaws, and this is not according to the bylaws. So I ask that you all read the bylaws. Section 502 clearly states that the trustee for the district gets to nominate their person.
And we have a representative that represents us in District 8, and that's Darlene Dunbar, and we will only accept her nominee.
Out of order, Ms. Roberson is speaking.
Thank you. Thank you. I have made my nomination twice. Now, someone said that you go on to Section 507. Section 507 in the bylaws talks about vacancy. There's not a vacancy. I have made my nomination. And so you cannot manufacture a vacancy by voting no. That's not what the purpose of this Section 507 was for. The vacancy is if someone is in a position and they vacate the position. I am trying to nominate someone for my position. I believe that your interpretation is incorrect. And even if you try to use Section 507, please understand that Section 507 says that we will refer back to the process used in Section 502, and we will follow that same order. And unless, Ms. Paler, you're shaking your head no if you're giving the advice, okay, because it says we go back to Section 502 and we use the same order. And the same order is for the trustee from the district to make the recommendation. Nowhere in these bylaws does it clearly state that anyone on this dais can make a recommendation for that trustee. And if that's the case, then I'm going to recommend someone for your districts.
Right.
You don't get to pick my person. You
Mr.
have misread the bylaws. You have misread the bylaws. The bylaw says it goes back to section 502.
Excuse me,
Should hear what she
but,
did to mine.
excuse me, the trustees need to be able to hear each other so we can come to a decision.
I've never seen before. You got your daddy's burning up in hell, doing what you doing right now.
Excuse me, may we cut the mic, please, right now?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn and amend or post, what is it?
Cut the mic, please, so that the trustees can hear each other and conduct the business. We will recess until the chair recon.
Well, I think that she just killed the meeting, because I would make a motion.
Board is dysfunctional. This board is right. And a weak dysfunctional.
Before we recess, Ms. Bailey has been asked to be recognized. Ms. Bailey? Excuse me.
You know what? This whole time that I have been sitting here, I have been so respectful and honoring of you. So I ask that you be honorable and respectful to me because I have sat here and listened and listened and listened. Well, anyhow, only thing I'm going to say to you, the Bible says, love one another. And if you're a representation of Jesus Christ, then you need to go pray and seek his face all over again. Now, only thing I can tell you is I would like to speak, and I'm not going to speak over you. Now, you will repent because the word of God says, touch not mine anointed and do my prophet no harm. So when you speak against me, you speak against the heart of God. So please be quiet because your heart is far from him. Your heart is far from him, and what your actions and your deeds now speak that is hard from him.
Read it.
Now, I would like to speak. I would like to speak. Lord, I pray for y'all. Oh, Jesus, I pray for you. I pray for you. In the name of Jesus, I pray for you. Oh, my prayer. You better be careful what you say. You better be careful. You better be careful. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Jesse Jackson. Yes. Harriet Tubman. They work. So they do that.
Is there anyone left in the boardroom? Oh.
Okay, we are reconvening in the superintendent's conference room for security reasons. In attendance are trustees Bailey, Grabowski, Watley, McKinney, and by Zoom, Ms. Jewett and Ms. Lieber. Ms. Roberson, Dr. Temple, and Mr. Hollenshed have chosen not to attend. We will resume the business of the board, and I will ask for a second to Ms. Watley's motion.
Second, but on a point of order, before we get to the motion, just so we're clear. Miss Temple and Miss Roberson were advised that we're meeting in here.
Who advised them?
Well, I advised Ms. Temple and Mr. Hollenshed. Mrs. Roberson was not out there, so she must be outside of the room.
But you did.
Oh, I advised both of them, and they said they
That
weren't
we were
coming.
meeting specifically
Yes.
here. Thank you. Just for clarification.
But you did confirm that they were not just, that we were going to continue the meeting?
I did. I told them we were going to continue the meeting back here and they should come. And they both said they were not going to come. They were going to stay out there.
All right, is there a second to Ms. Watley's motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bailey. Before there is a vote, I'm going to ask our parliamentarian for clarification on the motion and the balance.
Not sure there's any clarification that really needs to be given. Section 5.02 of the foundation bylaws provides for the mechanism by which the phase one directors of the foundation are to be appointed. Bylaws only requirement is that each of the 9 election districts of the Board of Trustees be represented and that the appointee be a resident of that election district. It does not give any exclusive right to any trustee of the school board to either make a nomination or to make an appointment. It merely provides that each of the 9 must be residents of their election district and that the Board of Trustees by majority vote elects the foundation directors.
But I thought the initial appointment was each board member would appoint or nominate a candidate.
That's not what the bylaws provide.
And to note for the record, Dr. Temple and Mr. Hollenshed are now in attendance.
Ms. Roberson.
And Ms. Roberson.
You good?
Can we?
So although it's not unusual, and certainly it happens in lots of public bodies when an appointee to a body, a committee or a board or a commission is a resident of an election district, whether it be a county council district, it's not unusual that the trustee or the county council member would make a nomination for their, I don't want to call it their seat. It's not really their seat. It's the Board of Trustees seat. But if that person is a resident, and it's certainly not unusual that the county council member who represents that district from which that resident would come would make the nomination. There's nothing unusual about that. It happens very commonly in the public bodies that I've represented. However, there is no exclusive right given to the trustee of that election district to make the nomination or the appointment. It's not contained in the bylaws. It doesn't say that. It merely says that each of the 9 members must be a resident of the election district, of an election district, and that they're appointed by majority vote.
Were the bylaws changed since we approved them because
I've asked for the most recent copy this evening, and it says the same thing as what I've had
Okay.
read over the last week.
I'd like the one that we voted on.
I've got it. I think the issue here is that we're following we're doing a process that's not within the bylaws. We're extending it.
And I think by practice, how we went through this process, that we should be ethical and fair with what we're doing. I mean, the bylaws, obviously, you can interpret the bylaws to not say something specific, but if you look at the process that we've been following, we should go through that same process. And it's not a vacancy.
No.
No, it's not.
So,
it's not.
so that I think that
We're not treating it that way.
well, each trustee has had the privilege of making a nomination for their district, and we should follow that, in my opinion. I'm not an attorney, but I operate with integrity and with fairness, and we are not being fair.
I will now call for the vote.
What are we voting on?
The motion that started, before we, recessed is the motion that Ms. Wagner made. Would you like to repeat it?
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So we missed something that Mr. Frampton obviously was explaining, because I still stand that now we are interpreting the bylaws. So did you say something that we need to be updated?
I'll say the exact same thing that I think everybody was here when I said it. I could be mistaken. If I am, I apologize. Section 5.2 of the bylaws of the foundation merely requires that the initial phase of directors be non-members. That each of those non-members must come from each of the election districts for the trustees. They must be a resident of that election district. That's all it says about their qualification. And then the section further goes on to say that those non-members shall be elected by majority vote of the trustees. That section does not give an exclusive right to any trustee to either appoint or to nominate. There's nothing in there that says that.
Why were
So
we
then-
all?
Then we,
Wait a minute, one at a time.
okay, so then if what you're saying is true, why did we follow this process where everyone was nominating?
Because it's not unusual for
but
a
it can't-
public body to make,
But
to
Mr.
allow this
Frampton, Mr.
trustee that represents that
Mr.
district
Frampton,
to make the nomination.
Mr. Frampton, we were following a process. We're not talking about what's not unusual right now. We are talking about a process that we established and that everyone followed. And now in the middle of you want to change to use the word is not unusual.
I'm not changing anything. I was asked for my opinion for the interpretation, and that's what I'm
You're
giving.
the one that's now saying it's not unusual. So if that was the case, we should have been saying that at the beginning, that it's not unusual. So that way it would have given me the opportunity to nominate somebody from District 5. or
Exactly.
District-
I would have nominated someone for a district that I knew somebody in that I think would have been a really good member for that. But we were told that each board member was to have a nomination within their district. That's what we were told. It's in an email. It's within every conversation. It's every single dialogue has been that. If that were the case, I had nominations that I would have put up for other districts.
So, Mrs. Jewett, respectfully, that is what you all were told by Mr. Prentice and the foundation staff. But we've been telling you all now for 2 or 3 weeks that all of you, with the three of you, with given what happened at the last meeting, with all due respect, I've told you multiple times or suggested to you under attorney-client privilege that the advice that Mr. Frampton, Mr. Johnson, and Ms. Paylor have all weighed in and given and suggested that each of you bring backup names and supporting documents.
Okay, but I think Ms. Huggins, what we are saying.
Until after nominees were given and
No,
after
ma'am.
we had voted.
It was an email.
No, ma'am.
No, but you're correct. And with Ms. Huggins, that goes right back to what I'm saying. We were told one process, and now in the middle of the process, it changes.
Right.
So
Ms.
you're saying
Watley
exactly what we just said,
Ms.
that
Watley did not have Michelle Faust a resume on the list that we could look at it. We just get it now.
But
So that's not the process.
It's not the process. It is just not the process. We were given a clear process and we followed it. And then when something didn't go the way that some folks wanted it, the process changed and we were told, now you get to bring additional names. That's changing the original process.
Mr. Prentice, you want to weigh in?
As Mr. Frampton indicated, while it's customary, it's not required of the bylaws.
Well,
And that's
you didn't tell us that at the beginning. If that was the case, you should have said at the beginning, it is not customary for us to do this, but this is how we are going to do it, or we are going to do it in the non-customary way. You guys cannot change that. This is a flawed process.
Or when we were told to
again-
bring our nomination,
Can we let Mr. Prentice address this and then Ms. Jewett, I'll come back to you.
Respectfully, if anyone had attempted to make a nomination for another member seat at any point in the process, I believe that the advice that would have been provided would have been consistent.
If that was given
if
as
that-
an
but-
original option, that was not told to us. What, if we were told to make a nomination for our own district? If we were told that we could make a nomination for someone else's district, then we would have done that. I'm sorry, I'm an educated person. I understood exactly what the process was, what was told to us, and that's what I follow. You all don't get to now change the rules. You're making these things, it's flawed.
Ms.
And
Paler?
this doesn't look good to the public.
Mrs. Roberson, when a nomination is made and seconded, there's a vote. And they
Miss
all
Paler,
passed.
I know that.
Please let her finish, Ms. Roberson, because we all might learn
You
something.
were all passed except for yours. So it came back 2 weeks later and you didn't put up a different person.
Correct, because there was no reason, because I have the right, according to Robert's rules, to now ask, what is the criteria and the standards for making a nomination?
Right.
What was given to us? Bring one person from your district. That was the only standard and criteria that was given. And so they voted my person down with no explanation. Robert rules say that I can ask for a standard and a criteria. What is the standard and the criteria that we are using to select these members? So we cannot change it in the middle. What is the standard and the criteria, Madam Chair? What are we using to select these people?
I would refer to Mr. Arnold or Mr. Prentice.
Mr. Arnold is not, and Mr. Prentice are not attorneys.
What is the
Okay,
standard?
well, I'm not one either.
What is the standard? The standard said they must be from the respective district. That was all that was
Job
given to us.
description
Well-
and no conflict of interest.
And no conflict of interest.
And
So now board members are voting down someone that meets the qualification.
And at the beginning of
They
this
have to be
entire
appointed
process, we were
by
told,
the majority
we
of
were
the
told, wait, I started first. It's the third time.
Excuse
that
me,
I've-
you have to be recognized.
Michelle Lever.
No one else has been
Ms. Jewett, go ahead.
recognized. At the beginning of this whole process, we were actually told that this was an appointee, not a nomination.
No,
We were,
I don't
yes,
think
we were.
appointee
Yes,
was
we
ever
were.
used.
We can go, then
Ma'am.
let's go back and review our meetings.
Go right ahead. Ms. Lieber?
I will.
You're on mute.
Ms. Lieber, we can't hear
You
you.
need to unmute your, it looks like your telephone is on as well. I think you need to unmute your telephone line.
Am I unmuted? Hello?
You are.
Oh, okay, fantastic. I think we all need to go back to the goal of this educational foundation. And if Mr. Gabrowski totally provides me with some clarity that this intended to be a fundraising organization with the people with the prowess to do fundraising and to also be able to vote on some of the, how the money was spent. Now, I, as a trustee, in retrospect, I welcome anybody that has a better Rolodex about my district or anybody that is significantly more in my district that I didn't meet, I don't know specifically. And I think, in all due respect to Ms. Robinson, is that I'm very knowledgeable about people within our district. Maybe not as much as she is, but definitely a diverse set of people. And but if you guys don't like rerunning it, come up with a better solution. I mean, please, this is not about us. It's about the children, and it's about fundraising and make the best decisions in education. And so when I look at my apologies, Mrs. Robeson, is that I don't see that person as being in that category. I honestly, I'm just going to stop right there.
Yeah. I will call for the vote now. The motion.
Ms. McKinney, I'm sorry. This is not correct. The bylaws does not state what you're doing. You cannot do that. You are misinterpreting the bylaws. And whoever's giving you advice this is incorrect. So what lawyer is telling you that the bylaw says that another trustee can nominate someone? What lawyer is telling you that? And where do you see that?
It's in there.
It's not in there.
Say who makes the nomination.
Where? And then Alice, so if that's the case, we have to start the whole process over. You cannot do that just for my district. You have to start the whole process
So
over.
Ms. Paler, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Frampton all advised on this after 2 weeks ago
Then
when
the
the vote.
process needs to start over, Ms. Huggins.
With the
To redo the process needs to
When the
start over.
vote, when the vote went the
No.
way the vote went, we sought advice and provided to trustees via several emails, recommendations on how the final three of you should handle.
So that's,
coming
but that's
here.
discrimination. The final three? What about the rest of them? The rest of them did not do the same thing that you're telling us that we
Again,
have
Ms.
to do.
Roberson, in the event that their
But what
recommendation
about
was not
theirs? We
approved.
were not
Roberson,
following the same
I was
rules.
prepared. I had a
That is
name and a second CP.
No,
I had
no,
several.
No, you had it.
I had a
You
list.
didn't have that. You may have had that originally, but
That's
that
him,
was
I
not
did.
what we were told originally. That was not. You cannot come in and now they're not following the same rules that you're now giving us. This is a flawed process, and this foundation is not this is not right. And you all should not want to run a foundation under these conditions.
Well, you
You
had
should
a
not.
nominee the same nominee up 2 times and it failed.
Because that's.
So why are we revisiting this? It failed. It failed. If it was one of us, it would have been failed. We would have gone about our business. Why are you continue to fight for somebody and it failed 2 times?
Tell me when you want me to answer you. Tell me when you want me to answer, or you just want to.
All those, in favor of Ms. Watley's motion for Michelle Faust to represent.
I don't think you all want to
this
do this. This is not a good thing.
on, the Education Foundation, please raise your hand.
You can't change it. You can't
One,
change it
two,
after
three, four,
you're
five.
changing it after we nominate.
And
we
the motion
nominated.
passes. We are now going to
you
give
guys-
Ms. Bailey a
I
moment
hope you
to make
see how
her
wrong this is.
statement, which she started in public, but was interrupted.
Politics,
Ms.
politics,
Ms.
politics.
Bailey,
It's all about politics.
Ms. Bailey has the floor, Ms. Watley. Yes.
Yeah. One thing I want to say through all of this, since we want to quote scriptures and defame people, I am not a racist person. I am an intercessor and a prophet. When the Lord speaks to me, I hear him clearly. And the whole time we've been in this place with all this disruption, especially in the boardroom, the Lord keeps saying, love one another. Okay? If you say you're a follower of Jesus Christ, then you're supposed to love people. I don't have any animosity, bitterness, hatred, or anything towards anybody on this board. Matter of fact, I pray for all of us consistently, Ms. Roberson included. I don't feel any kind of way about her. So anybody saying I have anything against her or anybody else on this board is a liar, and the truth is not in them. In Proverbs 3, verse 5-6, it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. And that's what I promised my constituents in District 5 that any and everything that comes before me, I will put before the Lord in prayer. So I took this man, and I didn't know if he was black, white, purple, green, or yellow. Okay.
Yeah, you did.
I read his resume and I said, Lord, is it a yes or is it a no? And Holy Spirit said no. Okay, so it's better for me to listen to the voice of God or listen to the voice of man. I'm not going to hell for nobody. I'm listening to the voice of God. Now, when I say many are called, but the chosen are few, I've been chosen for such a time as this. The Lord chose me to sit on here. And for anybody else that got something to say about this is an election year, the Lord puts people in places. He puts them in this place. And if he put me here, he said to fight for these children and their families like I fight for mine. And all 6 of them, of my children, have graduated high school, gone on to college, or know a trade and are well off right about now. And I am sick and tired of people trying to make this a race thing. Nobody cares what color you are, as long as you can do the job. God doesn't call always the qualified. He qualifies those he calls. And I'm just sick and tired of people saying that they follow Jesus Christ and they're Christian, but his heart is far from them. And what was displayed in this boardroom today, these people are not followers of Jesus Christ because Jesus loved everybody and he didn't act like that.
Madam Chair.
So
Okay,
all
that's-
I have to say is
that's
this.
enough.
I have sat, I have been quiet, I have listened because a fool speaks out of turn and does not listen and have discernment. And I am by far not a fool, okay? But I will not allow anybody to come and tell me that I'm racist and our ancestors are rolling over in their grave. They're rolling over in their grave from that display that was in this boardroom today because they lost their lives. They fought for better for
Bailey.
our people. Now, all I have to say is y'all need to get it together.
Miss
Y'all
Bailey,
needed to get it together. Every last
what did
one
God
needs to
tell
get it
you is wrong with this
and
candidate?
do what is right before these families, before these children. Because when we stand before God, he's going to either say, well done, my good and faithful servant, or depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for I know you not. And now you want to quote scriptures? You go look that up. You go fast and pray.
Okay,
And
this
and
is
seek his face. But if you don't, I have a moral responsibility to my constituents because I told them I would fast, I would pray, I would seek God's face on these issues, and I would fight for their children like I would fight for mine. Now, I'm going to be quiet, but don't think that my quietness and my meekness and my humbleness is a sign of weakness. By far not. And I thank you, Chair, for your time.
Madam Chair, I respectfully request the same time that Mr. Bailey had.
Go ahead. It's
I-
9:04, you got to 9:06.
I would like to put on the record that I am adamantly against what happened tonight and that Ms. Paler provided incorrect legal advice. Thank you.
Noted. Agenda item 14.
I would like
Close-
to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
This person that was just nominated, this resume was never put on the agenda.
It was passed out.
Oh,
And
well,
I understand
I'm
that is an
sorry.
inconvenience for those Zooming. But you voted no,
Inconvenience.
so.
We were all supposed to be provided the resumes of these candidates prior to these meetings, not at the meeting.
Well, we didn't, well, I can't address that. Ms. Lieber?
I want to address that. I think because I was the one who brought Michelle Faust up and Michelle Faust has accepted. I think when I talked to the majority of the people, well, the 5 total of us about Michelle Faust's experience, it rose as cream of the crop. I mean, she has been a faithful, true, dedicated servant to CCSD.
But this isn't the
especially in
If
Darlene's
I
district.
may interrupt, we should not be talking.
if you have a statement to make, like Ms. Bailey or Ms. Roberson, that's fine, but we cannot revisit.
It's a point of order. It's
This
not
is
on
not
the
a,
agenda.
this is
Right.
not a,
It's point of order,
Right.
not
this
on
is
the
not,
agenda.
this is not the way the process should have worked. This is not, what has happened tonight is not okay. And Miss Bailey, I would really like for you to tell me what God told you is wrong with this candidate that was brought
Well,
to
first
us
of
by
all,
our
what is wrong
representatives.
here is you should have been here. You should have been here.
I've been on it. I'm sorry.
order. Let's
The
adjourn
board
the
meeting
meeting,
got
'cause this is
changed
not
into a
productive.
night that I can't be here because I have kids. My kids are young.
Say aye. Aye.
I'm so frustrated. And it's not about Michelle. It's not about, it's about the process.